So who wants to do the recap?
I want Brodor to do it because he's high as fuck.
First of all, there's no way Brodor's doing it. Brodor doesn't. Okay, Brodor has his character sheet. It's right here, and Brodor has a mountain of notes. But Chad, honestly, okay. So last game, here's what we learned. Last game, what we learned is that despite the fact that Dan is an amazing game master, sometimes we're reluctant to throw him a bone. And we've been so reluctant to throw bones for the course of the campaign that we've literally shit the bed. We have no friends. We're in a corner, rock hard place, all that stuff. There's a very tense scene between Gil and Max, and then the rest of us jump in. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It left us all with a bad taste in our mouths. But the thing is that we're at this point scared shitless, and we've got to get back on the road. We got to get out. We got to move.
I feel like it's very indicative of our characters to not have friends.
You know what? You're right. It is, but I don't know. I feel like that. I don't know. I feel very alone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So let me check some math here real quick since we're doing the COVID thing. We're recording separately, and so I don't have the physical icons of the bullets to pass around.
Good. That'll let me go through this.
There should be a total of 18 bullets in circulation. And between you guys, I just gave one to Brodor for the recap. Between you guys, you should have 10. So let's make sure that's the case. I'm sorry, not 8. There should be 15 bullets in circulation, not 18. So between you guys, you should have 7. So Brandon, how many do you have?
I believe I have 3. I'm scrolling up to find my character sheet just to make sure.
We'll come back to him. Wayne?
You're muted.
Thank you. I forgot you put it on the character sheet. 2.
2. Chad?
I'm not sure. You said you put it on the character sheet, but I see a +1, but that is definitely my shit handwriting and not your neat handwriting. So
hang on.
I'm not
find
sure.
Your character sheet.
I have +2.
Okay, so 2 for. We'll do come back to Chad in a second. Brandon or Eric? I mean,
Junior has 0 bullets.
And Brodor?
I have the one you just gave me for my shitty recap.
5. All right, so that, let me double check here because I know I have Chad's character sheet because it fell out of the paper pile when I picked it up.
Right, and I don't want to start a thing, but I don't remember. There was a moment at the end of the game where it seemed that the meta was that we needed to do X, like we needed to go in that direction. The story was over there. And I don't remember what that specific action was.
Here's how it all ended. Was Max came in and told us, hey, there's an armada coming from Mars.
Right.
And everything's about to be blown up, so you need to come with me now.
Chad, you have 2.
2? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, 2 other things to throw in there, or just maybe more than 2, was you guys also met Daisy, who
is effectively Emma's daughter.
Yes, but unlike Emma, she appears to be, though cyborged a small amount, appears to be a fully human construct. She's not mechanical in nature. And she is guiding, she is sort of the base's overseer, which Max was able to make some inroads with her. Brodor, do you remember the note you were passed?
I remember that we were doing, actually I should turn my computer back on and do Discord because I knew we were texting that way. And I remember saying that I had to go take a shit. And
yes.
And that was my excuse. Yes.
That was your excuse, but do you remember what you were actually going to do?
I do remember what I was going to do. I can say it.
No. I just needed a
yeah,
yes.
but
No.
yes, I do remember.
And what Max said he wanted Junior for is he said he can take them to a place west, sort of towards like western Missouri ish, where he said that he has the ability to call someone who, one, has the authority to speak more openly than he does, and two, that when he does, Emma will have to respond to what's going on. And so that was how his secondary goal there was to draw her out.
And unless I'm misremembering something, I think he said something along the lines of, when we asked what was west, that he wanted to get out of range of Jacksonville.
Yes. He was
like
basically describing wanting to be out of range of Jacksonville's rapid air interceptability. So both their ground-based weapons and also their ability of their fighters to reach a landing object in a state of total defenselessness. And I thought somebody also told you some things about the current state of Olympus, but I think that actually may have been Daisy. Saying that despite the fact there's activity there, the base is currently more or less cold and decompressed. So, okay, so with that, as best as I recall, and you guys are free to dispute this because this is the best I recall, the last scene of action was Max and Gil had a bit of a verbal tiff. Max was insisting that Junior grab his bags and be ready to leave. I think, once again, Junior had just gotten up and was, in fact, going, and you said he was grabbing his bag.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then that's where we'll resume the scene. You guys are in that med lab that you've taken over as your quarters. And you had also, I think, at some point cleaned up Marlene's remains. I think they had gotten incinerated.
They did.
Okay. So you guys cleaned up Marlene's remains and that got incinerated. Okay. So we'll pick up in that same location. Junior, you're going to get your bags, and Songbird has left ostensibly to pinch a butter loaf. So, okay, Junior, as you go to get your bag, Max follows behind you. He gives a brief look to the military robot that is currently sitting on a gurney or stretcher that Fat Tony and Leela are working on. But otherwise, he follows you across the hall to where your bag is.
Okay. And then once I get there, I'll I didn't unpack or anything, so I just kind of pick it up and look at him, and I say, so it's going to get really bad here, huh?
Yes, in all probability.
So we need to travel pretty light?
I don't think you have enough possessions to encumber our travel.
Should we leave anybody behind, or does it matter?
Given their disposition, it might be simpler if we left some of them behind, but it doesn't particularly matter to me.
Will this place be attacked regardless? Or if we leave, will they attack this place?
I don't know. It depends on how aware various actors are of what's going on here.
Max, when you use me to draw Emma out, what happens to me after?
That won't be my decision, but if you want my best guess, nothing.
Just gonna let me go.
Yes.
Okay. So, I guess we should go now, huh? You want me to get the others, or do you want to? I mean, I can drive, but Fat Tony's the best, at least amongst the rest of us.
What will make you the most comfortable?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I think Fat Tony to drive, and then I'm still not feeling 100%, so I think Poe should go with us, and Philip knows the area around, at least west of here, so we might be good there, and we can't go anywhere without Gil. The only one I really don't know about is Songbird, because she attacked us. But
over the beige.
So, but the other ones, I don't know most of the other ones. So I mean, how far do we have to travel? I mean, if it's just a short trip, we can pack everybody in. But if it's going to be a long travel, it might. We might.
Hang on, I'm getting a distance for you. Since you asked about, so I know where you're starting and where you're ending, but I don't honestly know the exact distance between the 2 points. Nor do I really feel comfortable even trying to ballpark it. Just give me 1 sec here to look that up. It will be a full day of travel. We have almost 450 miles to cover. Oh, hang on, that's a road. That's more. It's not really. Those just bird fly, so it's probably less than that. Since you guys aren't really following roads anyway. So yeah, okay. Let's just say, for simplicity's sake, let's just say it's going to be about a 350 to 400 mile trip. In good traffic conditions, if the interstates are still operating, that'd be about 6 hours. So yeah, off road or with broken roads. Some of you do have an all-terrain vehicle, so yeah, it's still going to be about 10, 12 hours.
Okay. All right. I nod. Well, I mean, we could pack people in for that long. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. So I guess we could just ask the others who we should take and who we should leave behind.
Very well. Feel free to do so, but please be quick.
Oh, yeah, sure. Do you need anything while we're in here? And I'm like looking through all our stuff. Is there anything that you need? I look at him. Your chassis there looks pretty beat up.
I don't think any of you have the means to repair this chassis.
I mean, I could try. We could work on it on the way.
I don't believe you even possess the materials I'm made of.
Yeah. Well, when Emma was doing her thing, she was using all kinds of stuff. You can't adapt that way?
Well, I have.
Yeah.
My sensors have already been upgraded from the sensor package of a crashed jet.
Oh, the fighter. Yeah.
I can integrate foreign parts, but if you're talking about my structure, it would degrade me to do so. Degrade my structure, that is.
Is your software adaptable as adaptable as your physical components?
Yes, I think that's a fair metaphor.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go get the others and let's get out of here.
Okay, he just stands in the hallway.
Okay. And I'll go back into the room with everybody. Like, everybody ready to go? We need to go, man.
Go where?
I actually pull out my where is it? I have a pre-war road atlas. I pull it out and I say, well, we're going about 350 miles west of here. So, and then I just kind of look at the atlas and say, is that what? Well, 12 hours, 350 miles. So what, Kansas, Nebraska, something like that? And I look.
It looks like what he's looking at is probably somewhere in eastern Kansas or eastern Nebraska. So like Lawrence, Nebraska, or Lawrence, Kansas, excuse me.
Oh, Lawrence,
or like Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
do we have any idea what's there? I'm grabbing stuff as I ask, but
I would assume it's what's not there, which would be Jacksonville, right?
Do we have any idea where we're going? Yes. This point on this map, this many miles away. What's there? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty open to going someplace for very slim reasons. I mean, it's what got us to Chicago and all the fun we had up there. But, I mean, we got this killer robot telling us to go to this place. Why?
You guys went to Chicago?
Yeah,
It's a shithole.
Don't recommend
Shithole.
it.
Yeah,
don't.
no.
No.
Yeah, see, where were you when that conversation happened?
In a prison, underground.
You were in a better place. Let me tell you, Chicago was a shithole.
Worse than St. Louis?
It was worse than St. Louis.
How?
I've heard stories of the groups that are up there, and they make the carvers sound civilized.
But some of them are super sweet.
They really like killing, like in creative ways, like really try to put an artistry on the whole concept of murder. They really have fun with it.
I look at Gil and I say, Gil, or no, I'm sorry. I look at Max first and I say, Max, will we be safer going there as opposed to staying here?
Why would
In
you
the
ask
long
him that?
run.
You know he's going to say yes, no matter what.
Well, see, that's the thing.
I don't think he can lie.
Exactly. And that's what I look at Gil and I say, that's his thing. He can't lie. You can ask him anything. I mean, he may not be able to tell you because his protocol won't let him. But for questions he has answers to, he can't be untruthful.
I'm betting he can mislead by omission.
Sure, but if you ask him a question that he can answer, he will. He may say,
Why not ask the Tin Man? Just ask him. Prove it. Test it.
I mean, isn't there like some riddle thing about asking something, can you lie? And I don't know.
Tin Man. Who is Dragon?
I don't know. You
Okay,
have better theories than I do that I would like to explore, but
What
to
is-
explore
well-
them would be...
I'm sorry,
But-
I interrupted you. That was rude.
But to explore them would be to endanger Junior, who is too important to my task at hand.
Are you offended if I call you Tin Man?
No.
Okay, I don't remember the other word. But what's your best guess on who Dragon is?
Based on what you have said, likely having the best information on Dragon that is currently available to me, you've suggested that it is Thomas Barnes, an individual that resides in Herman. It seems unlikely, and yet its unlikeliness makes it more plausible.
If we follow you, where are we going?
I'm going to take you to a relatively empty and unpopulated area that is in southeastern Nebraska.
For what purpose?
To present you to someone who will know how to work with you to bring Emma back into the fold.
What does that mean? Bring Emma back into the fold.
To bring her back to the people that originally created her.
And then what would they do?
I don't know.
So we're going to meet a person.
Like a human being.
Yes.
And this person will have the answers that you cannot give us.
Yes.
And this person made Emma?
Yes.
And Emma was made hundreds of years ago?
I know that you already know the basic nature of the ship in orbit.
Sure. I'm not doubting you on that. I don't know if you're capable of this. That's pretty shocking to meet someone who is several hundred years old, no matter how possible it is. I just want to make sure I'm right with that. I kind of need to hear that before I see it.
Was this person frozen before the bombs?
Yes.
Are there other people that were frozen before the bombs that are still on Earth? Like not in the ship?
I am not able to disclose that information.
So that's a yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
See, I like pointing. See, I told you. If you ask him a question that he can't answer, but he knows is yes, he says he can't answer it.
Tin Man. I trust Philip 60%. I trust you 40%. I'm willing to follow you where you're going. I'm from Mars. Am I lying?
No, you are not.
Good. Let's go. Get your shit.
Out of character, real quick. So the people on the station, we obviously work with and deal with people from the moon. We are aware of the Mars colony. Do we work with, or have we worked with and met and encountered people from Mars? Or are they totally isolated from anything in the Earth sphere? Did Dan cut out? Right when he was going to answer the most pertinent question I had all night. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, his video's frozen for me.
I love that look on his face where it froze too.
He's like, okay, here I'm gonna drop some knowledge. Like
He's gonna catch up, and it's gonna be really.
like,
It's gonna be Micro Machine.
Oh, did you guys
Yep.
not hear me?
oh man,
2020, boys.
That's kind of been a question that Chad have had about Skies of Glass, because over the years, I mean, I'm aware of Jacksonville and Earth and all the different factions and space stations and the moon and how they interact and stuff. And there's always been this kind of big mystery of Mars. Mars exists and it's there. It's like, what is their thing? How do they interact with us? We kind of know that they may send agents, but, you know, what is their dealio?
It kind of always seemed to
I found
me.
out more about them from the A phase of this campaign
Yeah.
than all the history of Skies of Glass that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. I got disconnected from the call for some reason.
We were talking about how I just asked the question, really awesome and amazing, and you were like, okay.
Well, that's what I saw on my screen too, except it was reverse. I answered it, and everyone was stock still and in dead silence. And I'm like, I didn't realize this was that crucial of a bit of information to the game. Okay, so did you hear any of the answer?
No, we literally heard, okay, the answer is...
That was my way of ducking it. No, okay, so you have Mars has been purely isolationist.
Mm-hmm.
They have not made any attempt to contact or to interact with anyone outside of the Mars colony. Now, it's no secret, to borrow a bit from H.G. Wells, that they have spent long years carefully watching Earth.
Sure.
But they have never attempted to join even, I guess, what we'll call the space culture that exists between Jacksonville's and Earth base, and then, the moon, and there's a couple stations up there.
Sure.
Olympus being the one that you're obviously most familiar with, but not the only one. And if what she and Max are saying is true, and she is from Mars, this is the first person you have ever met from Mars. And
Gotcha.
if what Max is saying true, and they have ships on the way, Mars never in all these years has attempted any form of military or even civil expedition.
They haven't even contacted.
No, they don't talk.
Yeah.
They don't even talk.
All right. So when as we're moving towards, I guess, the LAV, because I'm assuming we're on the move at this point, I look over at Songbird and I go, "You're really from Mars?"
Yes.
Wow.
I look at Songbird, I look down at her, and I take my two fingers and I poke her in the shoulder. And then I look at Junior and I'm like, I never thought I'd see one. She's real.
I always thought the people from Mars couldn't handle our gravity and stuff. At least that's what they always told us on Olympus.
I thought that they'd steal our water.
Oh, right, yeah. Do you steal water?
And our
do.
women.
Is water currency on your planet?
Water is currency.
She's been here most of her life, if not all.
Water is traded on the stock market like other... Look, we don't have time for this.
She doesn't know the answers.
I beg to differ. There's a timely drive, apparently. I would love to know more about this.
Look,
Well, you're free to discuss it with her, but she is telling the truth. She doesn't
Philip.
know the answers. She has
Philip.
damage to her brain.
Philip, I trust you.
Yeah.
I do. But I trust Max. Jury's out on the convicts. I'd go either way.
So you trust us less than you trust Max? I say
Well,
this as in character.
Can you blame him? I'm sorry. Can you blame her?
I mean,
Max, what is the word I'm thinking of? I keep calling you Tin Man. What's the word? It starts with an A.
Android.
Android?
Android. Is that more appropriate than Tin Man?
In some ways, I am not meant in the truest sense to mimic a person, but depending on exactly how you nuance the word, yes, I guess I'm an android.
Okay, well, I'll just be respectful and call you by your name. How long is it going to take us to get there?
I estimate a 10-hour drive.
Okay.
She doesn't really have an accent.
mm-mm,
I always thought that they'd have an accent.
right.
She
G'day, mate.
Wow.
grew up here in the Midwest.
Oh, maybe she has a Midwest accent. That's what it is. We just don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oop.
So you've never been on Mars? Wait, what? You hold on. I need a timeline here. You're from Mars, but you don't remember. You came here as a baby.
Did they ship you off like Superman?
Hey, Dan, out of character, have you seen any of my messages?
No, I'm pulling up the Discord on my
Yeah,
phone.
no
now,
worries. I just wanted to make sure.
The
Look.
mobile app I'm using on my Chromebook is not terribly good at. It doesn't show me the chat and the video at the same time.
Yeah, no, I've got the Discord on my phone doing this, and then the chat on my laptop. So any which way, look, big guy, you've been shot, right? Doc, you've patched him up.
Yeah.
Has he ever taken one in the brain?
No.
You ever been shot in the fucking head?
No.
I have.
All right, I show him my scar.
Did you get that scar on Mars?
Oof.
Doc, what is a bullet wound to the brain? What can that do to somebody, to their cognitive ability?
Quite a bit. I mean, seeing where this entered.
Right, so
Well,
it's
do I see, like,
fucking
an
plausible that I'm telling the truth and I don't remember.
Where is your scar? Is it like boom and then somewhere?
Actually, I'm going to defer to the higher IQ. Dan, where's my brain scar?
I don't recall. Without spending time to hit Wikipedia.
Well, it was a
or
bitch move.
WebMD.
I mean, they shot me in the back of the head.
Yeah, so without looking at the exact lobes of the brain, I don't recall. I remember that the way I had it worked out, because I actually did look this up when I was designing the character, was that the main centers of the brain that had been damaged were her eyesight had been somewhat degraded, which of course the goggles would make up for. And it primarily then from there went through language and memory. And I know there's a path you can draw through the brain that does that, but I don't remember exactly what that path is.
So yeah, whatever that is, doctor.
Looks like it's a miracle you're alive, to be honest.
It's technology.
They use the magic space medicine.
Ooh, magic space medicine.
Yeah, the magic water.
Magic water.
Ooh,
Yeah,
magic water. I look at
one of the fucking morons these guys used to run with thought they were magic water. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's a syringe that I described the syringes, which I would think that Poe would recognize because it's the same medication that he's been using.
Right.
They used one of those.
So, how well? I mean, out of character, how well can Max pass as human?
Oh, right now, not even vaguely. I mean, for starters, part of his skull is caved in.
Right. All right.
His face, he does not have. Almost all of his artificial flesh is gone. I mean, you're mostly just looking at animatronic features.
Right. Great.
That's why when he was trying to pass as Marlene, he literally had to take her face. And even then, if you recall, was wearing a heavy hood and a scarf and a bunch of other stuff to conceal, the obvious errors and messed up parts about that design.
Great. Okay. Tony will drive. Max, you'll ride shotgun. Max, try to stay out of sight as best you can until you're passable.
Then why is he riding shotgun? Let's right up front.
Because he's navigating. Because he's navigating.
I hold up my hand. Gil. Then he can get all the cat facts.
Tony's driving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He can verify. You can imagine the depth of Max's
Hey, wait
knowledge?
a minute. Wait, hey. Mars lady, hush. Am I to understand that all of this time I have poured out my heart and soul on such a magnificent creature and it has not moved any of you? That all of you have been secretly disliking my cat facts?
It wasn't a secret, Tony. We hate him.
This is the first I'm hearing about it. Do you guys have morning meetings I am not a part of?
Tony, you have selective hearing.
And Max hasn't heard all of your cat facts. We have.
So you do have daily stand-ups without me.
Maybe if you tell all of them to him, he can chronicle them for you.
Collate them.
Tony-
Alphabetize them.
Tony, from what I understand, the dead chick was an outright cunt about you and your cat facts and wanting you to shut up about your goddamn cat facts.
That was just love play. She had to pretend she hated me. All the while, you may not have known this, she was kissing me.
No.
Wait a minute, what?
No. That's not what
This
happened.
is like one of those anime things where she has to, like, hate me to keep up appearances while she loved me.
Things are
What's
making
an
so much
anime?
more sense now.
I don't know. It's a yan something or other.
Like Yan Can Cook?
Kind of, except with crazy chicks.
So, we stick with the story. Nobody's from fucking outer space.
I mean, are we
Nobody-
planning on stopping and talking
Nobody's-
to people?
Yeah, we're not going to get pulled over by a statey.
If something, Jesus,
Yeah, it's Missouri. They
Christ.
don't have chips here.
if something comes up and we get detained somehow, nobody is from space. Nobody's from the moon. Nobody's from Mars. Nobody's from a space station prison.
You hear that, Junior?
Yes.
But Songbird, we are from space.
Junior, I swear to God, last time I shot you, Junior, it was in the leg on purpose.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Keep your
I'm sure that makes him feel a lot better.
keep your goddamn mouth shut.
Didn't you get? Wasn't the first time you died because you got shot in the leg?
Yeah. I need to, like, put on, like, metal pants or something.
Yeah. Good.
So,
Listen,
Songbird,
that's even more apropos.
You seem,
were you actually
Yes.
born on Mars, or is this like an Italian-American thing?
Do you know what the American Southwest looks like? Have you ever read a book? Have you ever seen a picture of the American Southwest?
Yeah.
That's what Mars looks like, but redder and bleak and dark and dry and fucking cold. Like a desert at midnight forever.
So
This is fucking
You were-
Eden.
born on Mars.
Yeah.
Are there domes? Like, how
Jesus
do you
Christ.
breathe?
Why do you God, can we just go, please? Max, can you make them shut up?
We can ask these questions in the car.
yeah, we'll just wait until we're in the car.
Yeah,
And then we'll
guys,
play a game.
look,
and then you can't get away.
I have brain damage. I don't
Did you have
remember,
brain damage on Mars?
Okay,
You
first of
remembered
all,
so much more than you did before, so
don't I don't remember them. I just remember looking outside through windows.
So could you open the windows? Or was it like on the space station where they just had like one observation deck?
How old were you when you were there?
I don't know, man. Single digits.
So you were sent here as a child, much like Superman.
That's not. I don't know. It's not what I remember.
You're doing a shit job of saving the planet, I'll say that.
No,
But
she's
what
doing a great job.
happened-
She's doing a great job. I look at
Do you know-
Songbird. You're doing a great job.
Do you know anything about American history?
Yeah.
About the War of Independence?
Which
yeah.
one?
The American War of Independence.
Yeah, which one?
The piss off King George.
Which one?
You know what? Never mind.
Out of character, technically there's going to be another King George when Prince Harry's kid grows up, so...
So I want, all right. I think we can settle this in a way that will please everyone.
With cats?
Is this a guild compromise coming from Tony?
No,
is this a Tony?
Tony Katz thing.
Oh,
It's a
I
cat,
feel it. I
cat
feel it
compromise.
like a hairball
in
building.
my nose.
It's a cat
It
compromise.
is like a guilt compromise in that nobody will like it, but I secretly will and won't say it. So, why do I keep calling you Marlene? Songbird,
Marlene's dead!
do you know what an ocelot is?
Is it
Yeah,
cat?
It's a big cat.
Aha. And have you ever seen an ocelot?
I have not.
Not that you remember, which means you have.
Another message incoming. I'm
Now-
sorry, Tony. Can you repeat that?
Have you ever seen an ocelot?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a book. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I just remember
So you
being
can recall, if not the context, the image of an ocelot.
I just remember big cat. I don't know if it looks like a lion or a tiger or a lynx. I don't know.
Well, ocelot is a cat that is native to the southwestern United States, which is precisely what you described Mars is looking like.
Tony, they're not
It
Martian
comes
cats.
from a word.
There's no Martian cats, Tony.
That's my point. But you remember an ocelot, so I'm thinking you're like from, I don't know, Arizona, and you just remember it as Mars because it was kind of a shithole.
It's like the first moon landing. It was all fake.
She's saying, there are no Martian cats, yet she remembers a southwestern American cat. Now,
Max.
ocelot comes from a French word that means jaguar. So ocelot, it's because they jaguar a whole lot. And what did she recall it as? Being similar to a great cat, or perhaps being a jaguar a lot.
See? You can't argue with that logic.
You see how you can use cats to solve any mystery?
Max, what's your likelihood of detecting a lie? If someone is being dishonest, what's the probability of you being able to determine that they're being dishonest?
With my added sensor capacity, near 100%.
Okay. Am I lying about being from Mars?
No.
Thank you. Can we let it go now, guys, please?
Was she,
You know, they can say what they like, but as I always say, the proof is in the pussy.
You could. Oh my God.
He actually does say that a lot.
You could
he
also
does.
just really believe you're from Mars. I mean, you wouldn't be lying if you 100% believed you were from Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was like space camp, but in Arizona.
Yeah. Did you grow up in like Kansas and your parents just told you were from Mars?
Max, did you know she was
Absolutely
from
not.
Mars? Did you know she was from Mars before she said it?
No.
when she said that she shot me on the leg on purpose, was that true?
I lacked my current sensor modifications at the time.
Oh, okay.
No, but
If you
she
want to
said
ask
it
her
now.
again, I
Yeah,
could-
but she said it just now. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. What was the
Yeah,
question?
when I shot Junior, my deliberate intent was to maim him so that his friends would be slowed and I would have a greater opportunity to
No, I
detain-
know. Oh, okay. My
did-
question to frame Max's response is, Eric, what was the exact question you asked?
When
The
she,
exact- oh, sorry.
yeah, when she said that she shot me in the leg on purpose, was she telling the truth?
Yes.
And I look at Songbird like with a chin up. Oh, okay, good.
I didn't want you dead, Junior. I wanted you away from them. And I pointed Philip, the doctor, and Gil.
So you were trying to abduct me.
Correct.
You taking him?
Yeah, where were you going?
Back to my boss. Or I should
Who's
say,
your
it's not my boss. Correction. She would say back to my superior.
Your boyfriend?
Which is
Correct.
ocelot.
Back to leopard.
Oh, leopard, not jaguar. Who was jaguar?
Just another kind of cat.
Oh,
Lynx is just another guy on another job.
All right, you guys get up to the motor pool, get to the LAV. I assume you boarded as previously described. So, okay, so Fat Tony's driving.
Yeah.
Max
Max
is in the gunner's seat.
Right.
Everyone else is in the back. before, as you guys get on, Max drags the remains of the front end of that plane out of the back of it, both to make room and because presumably he's done with it. Also, just a reminder, because I don't know if this has gotten forgotten or you just haven't wanted to mess with it. Hearts is still in the back of the truck.
Yeah, he's powering it.
Yeah, he's currently unpowered, but
No, he's powering the truck.
Yeah, it
So
was
he
his,
I know.
his
No, I
nuclear
know.
core.
That's what I mean. Is he is unpowered because he is powering the truck.
Right.
But if you were to disconnect him from the truck and go back off the fuel cells, Hearts would be an asset again. So it's just something I remember for some reason like 2 days ago.
And
Yeah, I
Max,
forgot it, but Philip can't do anything about it.
And Max, I guess, wearing Marlene's face powered him down, or it's like I remember because when
He used her voice.
and said for him to power down, cycle down. I remember that.
Brodor just sent a note saying he got disconnected.
Oh, okay.
So, 1 second here.
It's hard to tell without video for him.
Yeah. He just sent a note I saw scroll across the screen. Let me...
Brandon, that is the largest mug I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I forgot we had this one. I told Shannon to bring me a large mug. I said the largest we have because the one in my head was a regular size coffee mug, just a big mug. No, she brought this monstrosity.
Eric, can you do me a favor? Can you pause the recording until Brodor comes back? Plus, I want to go make a cup of coffee because I think I'm getting my nominal aphasia thingy.
Okay. All right, we're rolling.
Okay. So, all right, we got Brodor back, and I've got my coffee. So, apologize for... Brandon, I don't think that's actually a mug. I think that is a cereal cup. Because
No, it's a mug.
Because I know I have one of those, and you're supposed to make cream of wheat and oatmeal in it, and
You
then
can,
carry it around.
but it's a mug. I mean, it came with coffee.
What, a horse?
Exactly. Listen, I would not normally be drinking out of this, but the one person who could get up to go get me one brought me the largest fucking thing we have in my house.
I was say, are you?
She might as well have brought me a pot to throw it in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you just trying to piss pure Colombian?
And what
I mean, who is it?
and it says sweater weather on it.
It does say sweater weather. On it, yeah.
And is it coffee in there?
No, it's tea.
Okay. I was just if it's
Okay.
coffee, it's going to be such a massive poop.
Yeah, that is also true. Coffee keeps you regular. So, okay. So we were working on whether Marlene was lying about... oh, no, you guys had gotten on. We're underway, and I was just reminding you
Or
about
Songbird,
Hearts.
yeah.
And then, okay. So the vehicle pulls out of the garage at the Amboy Depot, and as you guys board the vehicle and drive off, the corpses briefly stop what they're doing to watch you go, which is not something they normally do. They normally don't even look at you guys, except if they're saying something. So for them to stop in unison and look at you, at least one of you would know probably what that actually means, which is not them watching you. But you guys pull out. I mean, they don't do anything to resist you or to stop you. And drive off. I don't remember for life of me what time of day it was. So we're going to go with
I thought it was morning.
somewhere. Was it morning? Okay.
I think
Because
so.
we were
even-
going to breakfast when the conversation first started.
Okay, so this was a breakfast conversation. Okay. But even if we say that was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, you guys are in the winter, so the days are going to be relatively short. So you're still probably going to arrive about the time it gets dark. But you guys take off and begin heading toward the Mississippi.
Dan, Junior does, like, as we're leaving and the corpses are looking, actually does wave at them, like, goodbye. And like
They don't respond. They don't wave back or anything.
and this is an LAV, so it really doesn't have any side windows, I wouldn't think. But it may have a back window, like a back hatch or something like that.
Yeah, actually it does.
And so as he's waving from the back, he kind of breathes onto the glass and just kind of draws a heart, and then goes and sits down.
So, looking at where you guys are versus where you're headed, my mental map of the U.S. wasn't very good because you will actually cross the Mississippi at a surprisingly narrow point because this is pretty well up north, and then your journey is going to take you mostly through Iowa, not through Missouri.
Oh
So
my
you'll be-
God, that is a boring trip.
Well, yes, but I mean, I guess more to wit, you're at least going to be dodging St. Louis without any difficulty.
I like how you say that now when we were talking about going through Kansas.
Yeah, I know.
Nebraska.
Well, I was looking at the direct route. I was not looking at what makes actual sense for even getting that far. Because even if you went south of there to the next major east-west route down, that's still Iowa.
Yeah, let's face it. Missouri and Illinois have the best scenery driving through of any of the states.
Of the Midwest, yeah.
the
The Midwest. I mean, Tennessee
Anywhere
and
else is
Appalachia
going to be
gorgeous.
horrible.
Indiana's not bad. They've got
Indiana's good, rolling
Yeah.
farms and stuff.
They've got
Tennessee,
some cliffs and
Appalachia,
stuff.
awesome.
Pretty much
Yeah.
anything west of Missouri, though.
is not very good. Yeah, Missouri has a lot of like rocks and like
Foothills.
sides.
Yeah,
and stuff like that,
foothills, rocks, and then of course the curvature of the hills and such creates somewhat more interesting scenery. So either way though, you guys are continuing.
We know it'll be a smooth ride through Kansas though, if we were going there.
You're not. You're going through Iowa and then into Nebraska.
I guess Iowa's
So-
basically the same. They're all farmland, flat bullshit with nothing in it.
Yeah.
For you guys, this is just living out your TV show. You're on the prairie. There might even be a house somewhere.
This
a
is
little
not what we had in mind.
Yeah. Much less death on Little House.
All right. So within, not all that long.
Oh, come on, man.
I'd say it's not you this time, Brodor.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's Dan.
It's Dan.
Yeah, it's Dan.
I'll pause it again.
It's every time he's about to tell us something important.
Yeah.
Well.
it's-
We're back.
I apologize for yet another jump in the show. Discord locked up on me, and I'm not clear how much, if any, of my settings stuff they got. So
None of it.
none of it. Great.
No,
Okay,
none of
so
it.
hopefully this isn't a repeat. So
Plus, if you do repeat yourself, it's going to be edited out, right? You guys could probably.
no, I don't edit these shows.
No,
I
fuck 'em.
thought some of it was lightly done.
Nope. Fuck them.
Yeah, like I said, I don't.
They're going to sit here for 4 hours listening to us talk. They're going to sit here for 4 hours and listen to us
We're
talk.
just gonna,
That's
we're just
their
gonna
fucking
basically
problem.
take a knee.
Yeah.
So
Wait, no. Oh, never mind. Too dark.
all right. So you guys head west and cross the Mississippi. We were I know you guys heard me talking about how it was actually through Iowa, not Missouri. So because you guys commented on that. So where you cross the river is at a bridge in a place called LeClaire. There is a bridge that is not in great shape. You can see rebar through the concrete. You can see places where the concrete is fractured. And Well, you would, I guess, if there were windows on this thing. The only way you guys really actually perceive that anything is occurring is Fat Tony stops talking to Max about cats and is just white knuckling the controls and puckering his ass. And as he crosses over this bridge, you guys can hear a few things falling out from underneath you. There's a few points where the vehicle jerks a bit, either as it catches a pothole or as it was on something and that something didn't remain there because of the lav's weight. And it's, for anyone that is able to see what's occurring, it is a very, very unpleasant experience. But you do manage to reach the other side, and you don't know if the bridge can survive a return trip from the lav. And probably the one trip may have even screwed this up for anything shy of plain foot traffic. It's like even horses and such may not have a great time. But nonetheless, you do make it across and hit Iowa, where you're making a pretty straight drive west by southwest toward where you're headed in Nebraska. Okay, so that's a couple hours. So that's going to take you from, we'll say it was about 9 or 10 a.m. when you left. So that's going to cover you from 9 or 10 a.m. Probably until the early afternoon. So are you guys... Oh, I'm sorry, not until the early afternoon. Probably until right around noon. So are you guys doing anything during that time? Is there anything you want to accomplish during that time?
Bugging the shit out of Songbird with Mars questions. Relentlessly.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all doing.
How red is it? I mean, like, how red is it really? We caught
Do you have any
Broder
pets
eating,
on
so-
Mars? Yeah. Do you have any pets on Mars? Like, how do you walk a dog on Mars?
Do you guys have
Or do
movie
you all
nights?
have cats?
Do you guys have movie nights where you watch movies about Mars and then laugh at how they're not accurate?
So that Total Recall movie, that was like 100% dead on, right?
Ghosts of
Is your
Mars.
mascot Marvin the Martian?
Are there women with 3 boobs there?
Broder, you picked a terrible time to eat a packet of like Big League Chew or whatever you're doing.
It's like he ate an entire jar of peanut butter and
No,
put crackers in there.
Yeah,
I disagree. I picked the perfect time.
yeah. What? Well, taffy
Because
dipped in peanut butter?
No, my doting and wonderful wife brought me some pizza, and I was trying to sneak a bite off screen real quick, but I was not going to answer any of those questions anyway. So it was the perfect time for me to have a nice measured chew.
So she's getting all of these questions as deadpan face, just staring off into
Exactly. I refuse to answer these questions. I am done.
Hey,
And she does not break. She doesn't like scream at us or anything. She's like zen.
No. Just let me know when we stop.
Dan, do I still have a 7 wound on my left leg?
No, by now it'd be down to at least a 6.
Okay. Well, my leg's feeling better, Doc. See, look, I can move it beyond 30 degrees now.
that's good. I slap your leg a little bit.
Yeah, the nerve endings are doing really good because that really fucking hurt.
Good. My test worked out.
I think I peed a little.
And he went to medical school for that shit.
Did they give you a free toaster with that medical degree?
I don't get what you mean.
You know, a toaster. You put bread in it.
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, you always had somebody to make your toast for you. Did you? You had people like cut your toast and stuff, right? And put the butter on it.
Oh, Toasties. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys discussed me. You had butter,
Well, it was
like from a cow.
no, man.
From Earth.
We called
Brought
it.
up at great expense because you're fucking rich assholes.
Wait a minute. You didn't have butter?
Yeah.
Butter? Yeah,
How'd you not
butter
have butter on the station?
What was
my
the yellow stuff?
apartment was smaller than my cell in prison.
Oh my
You think
god.
of butter as a rich thing? Everyone
When you're
has
in
butter.
space, it is.
My shoe closet was larger than our cell in prison.
Oh
Jesus.
my god! You had a piano. You had a fucking piano. How did you
beautiful.
get that up from Earth? That's insane.
I grew up in the
Ask
middle
Tony.
of nowhere, and we had butter.
On Mars?
No,
Hey, what's Martian butter
I
like?
grew up.
Is it blue?
Does it
What
cost
do you
10
milk to
times
get
as much
Martian
as ship it
butter?
from Earth?
No, I grew up on Earth.
How'd you get here? Don't remember.
Did you come with the butter?
I still think her
crashed.
parents told her that she was from Mars because she was like apparently the milkman's kid.
You know what? Fuck you guys. You know what I understand? I understand that your friend that you let get blown up by a grenade and fucking left her there, she was the lucky.
I want to, out of character, I love that all of our teasing has just moved on to this other person Broder's playing, but the character that he's playing has the same animosity towards us about it as the other character. Like, it's exactly the same.
It did not take her long to find her ire for you.
The difference is I think Songbird could actually kill us all. Marlene would have
We
got
were-
like one or two.
No,
of us.
Marlene loved
When we
you
were
guys.
awake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when she snapped, like when she really
yeah.
got there, if she snapped.
Yeah, that's
she,
too much me. Yeah, that's my fault. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Marlene was going to kill everyone by giving Hearts a bad message.
Yeah.
Yes, every
It wasn't
fucking
gonna-
time there
it
was a
wasn't gonna
command
get
given to that robot. Are we there yet?
Leela looks up from the robot that she is still tinkering with and says, "For what it's worth, Songbird, I think you're pretty cool.
Thanks, kid.
Everybody's cool.
You've traveled around a lot. You've seen the world. You've done a lot of cool things. I mean, they say you're part of some like secret society or something, and you kill people. You're your own woman. You're a badass.
Yeah.
I think these guys are just intimidated by you."
I look at the
Yeah,
girl
that's it.
and just look at her and point. No. Stop it.
She stares you dead in the face and says, "I'm a young woman, not a dog."
I ignore her.
She eventually goes back to tinkering with the robot.
Are we in the quiet pouty part of the journey now? That means we're getting close. If we're in the quiet pouty part.
Well, you guys might be quiet and a bit pouty because actually that would make something else all the more evident, which is you think going by clock, you're probably about halfway there. And
Are we living on
you-
prayer?
Why can't urine not freeze up? And you hear quite well, given the silence and the lav, the gimbals on, or the track on the, you have to excuse me if you guys are listening, because I do get this thing where I temporarily lose words from what they call a silent migraine, so I'm apparently having one of those right now. The shit that makes the turret on the lav turn, okay, whatever that is called, it's not gimbaling, but whatever it's called, you hear that activating. So the turret on top of this thing is moving
Max, are you doing that?
without even looking back. He says, yes.
Are there hostels, or are you just testing it? Are you just stretching your legs?
We're about to pass through what appears to be given the current situation on Earth, a mid-sized town that seems interested in blocking our path. I'm not sure why, but I figured this ought to make them rethink things.
Is this just like a local shit-stained town, or is this like it?
Songbird? We're not going to get stopped, Songbird. The Stadies aren't patrolling, Songbird.
These aren't
Yeah,
stadiums.
the chips are in California.
Fucking
Are you
Lord.
moving it to intimidate them, or are you aiming at something?
I am aiming above them.
I sit down and I buckle my seatbelt in. I think we're about to have a bumpy ride.
I go up front and I stick my face in the window. Basically, I want to see what's out there.
So what you see ahead is right now you are driving along the broken up remains of what used to be a somewhat major road. For anyone who wants to play the home game, this would be, I think that's a state route. I don't know, it might be an interstate, but I think it's a state route, but 34. I'm not sure if that's an interstate or a state route, but you're headed along Highway 34. And you're not sure what town it is you're coming to, since that's just kind of, you don't have any reference for that. But the town that you see up ahead, it is walled in. When I say walled, I mean think a mixture of wooden palisade, piled up junk, like husks of old cars, corrugated metal. This is not walled like, concrete and perfectly made earthworks or something like that. But this is a town that has walled itself up. There are some buildings in what look like currently unused, given the fact that it's winter, farms outside of the walls. But given the amount of chimney smoke you see coming from within the walls, you're going to guess this town has a pretty decent population, probably somewhere in the hundreds. So this is a town that's smaller than Cape, certainly smaller than St. Louis, but it's a lot bigger than the kind of homesteads or frontier towns you usually see out here. And there is an armed militia. You don't know the disposition of this town or how far are they from, being settled-is versus being just random, just an otherwise decent town that's just spooked by this little thing coming at them. But there are people hastily taking positions around that wall with a variety of weapons. And there's about 8 men that have gathered on the road in front of the town, blocking the path. And if Tony makes any attempt to sort of turn a little bit left or whatever, they appear to adjust where they are to continue blocking.
I grab the mic. I go, burp, 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 burp. Get the fuck out of the way.
The moment he grabs the mic, I unbuckle, I lunge for the front. Do not let him on the mic.
Get the fuck out of the way.
And I try to grab the mic out of his hand.
I'm doing this sort of thing. I'm like,
oh no, let's roll this out.
Yeah.
Both of you give me an unarmed check. So your choice between body and agility.
This will not go well for me.
Oh, Philip, let him have his fun. Come on.
Not after last time. 10.
10 total?
Yes.
Wow. Good job, Wayne.
I only have a body of 5. I rolled a 3 and a 2.
Yeah, okay.
12. But my confidence is cracking heads.
Well, the only reason I wasn't counting that is I was assuming you weren't trying
to actually crack his head. Yeah.
You weren't trying to actually bust his ass. You were just...
He is going to piss them off, and they're going to open fire on us.
But he does still have...
Are you pissed off? Get the fuck out of the
As you're doing this, one of the individuals ahead is starting to look a bit confused, and I don't think you can lip read, but is...
When he holds down the button, he doesn't speak for all of us.
I click it, click it, click it, click it. Speak.
The one of the men steps forward. He still has his rifle in his hand, but not aimed at you. He's holding his hands up in a motion of stop, or perhaps I mean you no harm. You're not sure exactly how to interpret it, but he does not have the gun pointed at you. But
I look to like the left, or can we just go around the town?
you could try. Now, with the people on the wall, they might. Once again, you don't know what their disposition is. They might fire at you or something like that.
That'd be a bad day for them.
Oh, I'm not saying it wouldn't be. Which is why because now that you're leaning up front, you can actually see the targeting computer. And the image on the targeting computers, Max does have the reticle at just a low angle over their heads, to where these shells would make it a hell of an impression, but would land somewhere just past the town. But simply the cannon firing and the shells tearing through the air, I mean, it would have certainly...
I asked Fat Tony, just the general question up front. Do we think that we can go around the town without, like, getting stuck in the mud? Because that'd be really fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, everything's kind of frozen. So unless they've set up, like, traps or something, which, I can't imagine because they've probably never seen a vehicle like this.
Well, if they set up traps, they're going to set them up on the road in front of the thing. Then we're going to drive right into them. So, let's go around. I mean, do we need to stop in this town? He leans over. Anybody got to go pee?
I already peed.
His last words.
All right, so I'm going to do a roll here. So Tony is attempting to just make a hard turn to the right to just cut around the outside of the wall. Now, you will drive through some farm fields and such, but at least you won't take out the town.
Not my farm field.
No, I didn't say you. I'm just stating facts. Whether you even care is up to you. I'm just stating the facts at hand. Okay, so Fat Tony rolled pretty damn well. So that's a 9. I'll put it. I never statted out Fat Tony. I'll just give him a 6. Give him an average score there. So he got a 15. So first roll for 2 things. One, is anyone able to actually obstruct the lab in any meaningful way? Which is not going to be an easy roll for them. But it is possible. I mean, okay, they are not able to genuinely obstruct the lab.
I get on the mic as we're going around, and I say, don't worry, we're going around. Philip wishes to impregnate your women. We will save you.
So next one, somebody call it.
Cracks up
Is high or low good?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you want high or low to be good for the next roll?
Good. High is good.
High is good.
always
High is good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Why weren't that die? Okay, so as you crash around the town, you get some people yell as you tear through the farm fields and knock over some fences and such. You do get some people yelling angrily at you and Hick, and one of them actually does pop off a shot in the direction of the lav. If it hit, you didn't hear it hit. I mean, these guns are not made to penetrate even light vehicle armor. So if it even hit the lab, you didn't hear it. So either it missed or it just bounced off
Sounds
completely
like
impotently.
light rain.
Yeah, light rain at best, or maybe pea-sized hail on a car, if even any noise at all. But they continue to, some of them continue to yell at you as you go by.
Burp, burp, burp. It's not that we can't hear you. We don't care.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is go ahead and I'm going to set the difficulty kind of high. Everyone give me a perception check. The only thing I need to know is, do you have anything that would help or hurt you with either lip reading or hearing quiet noises? Because there's someone yelling at you, and I'm just curious if you could pick up on what they say. But unless you can make the argument that either lip reading or specifically trying to understand quiet noises is your forte, it'll just be a straight 2d6 plus perception.
I got a 15.
Yeah.
13.
I got an 11.
17.
All right, so Wayne and Chad are both north of 15, not quite to an 18. So I'll give you parts of it. You caught the following words. Tired, your kind, don't come back. I'm sorry, not don't come back.
What do you mean,
Stop
your kind?
coming through.
Well, they mean Southern Army.
Oh, do we still have
This
that
is
shit painted on the side?
You never did. This is an old U.S. Army vehicle.
Oh, it's you.
This isn't a Southern Army vehicle. The Southern Army was
communist.
salvaging the same thing.
Yeah, they don't like America.
Well,
Fucking hicks that don't like America.
Yeah, what's the world come to?
I don't
Well,
like the sound
I mean-
of other vehicles like this coming.
Wait,
through
wait,
them.
wait.
are they flying a Confederate flag? Because those hicks don't like America either.
They say they do, Chad, all the time.
Yeah.
No. These are, I mean, the level of anger you're seeing here, these are Democrats. All right, so jokes aside, that's what you...
is about to explode.
No, a little blood might seep out of my mouth from me biting my tongue, but I'm trying.
But so what you catch is tired, your kind, stop coming through. And those are broken phrases. There's words between them that you don't know what the full sentence was.
I think they were saying that trucks like this have been through here.
Why did you say that?
What I kind of made out was they're tired of our kind coming through.
Maybe they're racists.
Maybe they don't like people from space.
They don't know what we look like inside the truck.
Yeah, but racists, they just assume.
Maybe
If they assume, then they've seen trucks like this that have people they don't like in them.
Well, where did we get this truck? From
We stole it.
right from a stash, right? From a cache of military vehicles.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I think, if memory serves, you actually took it off the back of a train. But that's where it originally came from, was a stash of pre-war U.S. Army vehicles.
So-
I thought this one was one we salvaged out of the battlefield.
Yeah, this one was when we salvaged.
Was it? Okay, I thought you guys stole in the train when you were escaping from the what is it? Oh, that's right, it was, because it was brought back to you by Kate. And it was Molly and Hearts that rebuilt
they
it.
they rebuilt
They
it.
had to go get parts from the old van.
Now I'm remembering.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Molly and Hearts that rebuilt this. And they were picking up parts from the battlefield to rehabilitate it. So, yeah, the Southern Army had possession of it, but they had literally just taken it from that arms depot. So this is not marked with any Southern Army markings.
So whoever was driving trucks like this through there, that means wherever we're going, there are going to be people that are armed as well as this truck.
So who else has trucks like this other than the Southern Army?
Probably
Anybody with money.
Right.
I mean, once that thing was cracked open, this kind of equipment was leaking like a sieve. I mean, we found this stuff on the side of the road. It's a battlefield. People were like getting shot. They were stealing it. I mean, for the next 20 years, you're going to find trucks and equipment like this in every other barn or gully around.
Do you have any inclination to turn back and you see what they mean by people like us?
I don't know. Does
Max, are you okay with us stopping and chatting with the local town folk? Or should
Philip,
we...
are you okay with impregnating half their female population?
Well, they might need a deeper gene pool.
Well, they're certainly not going to get a deeper dick from him.
I will
I've
agree
learned to
on
pull
one.
out.
I will agree on
Survey
one
says
condition.
no, you haven't.
My appearance would certainly alarm them.
Well,
And if I am not present, then I cannot ensure your safety, Junior. You must remain on the vehicle with me.
I mean, one way or the other, we're going to find out if this, wherever we're going is going to have military vehicles. I mean,
All right.
we could just assume that it's that they do, based on
Well-
what they said.
If we want, we can turn around. We don't have to roll the window down. Nobody even has to get out. We just yell at them. They certainly were yelling at us.
Lots
So
of
just-
sound plan.
Turn back around and go, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what, you want to talk to these assholes? Let's turn
Yeah.
around. But we don't
Yeah.
have to get out.
No, great call. Let's go back.
Okay. Tony stops the truck and does a multi-point turn.
I mean,
And-
what can go wrong?
I'm having flashbacks to a shopping mall parking lot in December of last year.
Hey,
And
I'm going to get cotton candy this time.
you guys drive back toward the town. Not that you're all that far from it.
Which they specifically told us not to do.
And
come back.
as you come back toward it,
I'll show you, you son of a bitches. We'll go back.
I say several of the people have gathered and certainly look quite perturbed over the destruction of farm field. But I mean, other than that, don't look particularly any more perturbed than before. The guy that you saw who had his hands raised, he is right now running to the gate or to that side of the town. You're guessing because he just found out you guys were turning around.
Burp,
And
burp. We're back. Bitches.
the group around him looks substantially. This guy looks relatively level-headed. I mean, he certainly doesn't seem pleased, but the people around him look profoundly displeased. I mean, like really pissed off.
Burp, burp, burp. Can we talk to the person who has the most amount of teeth in the village?
Okay.
This is why you don't let him on the mic.
Who let him on a mic?
Oh, Philip back.
So, all right, you guys pull up. The vehicle stops. The guy that had his hands up before, after Gil makes that comment, comes marching toward the truck. And as he walks past one of the other men, they hand him what looks like a full liquor bottle. And
Does it
He-
have a rag coming out of it?
not that you see.
I
It's not
make
the-
real close sure it doesn't. Like how far away is this guy?
Give me a perception check, because you don't have the best way of viewing him from where you are.
Okay.
Because your view not actually being in one of the front seats is kind of limited and blah, blah, blah. But give me a perception check.
Winged Drunum Lavosa? What the fuck?
Yeah, we're not playing Harry Potter.
Yeah, I know. I'm using Sidekick, and I did roll 2d6, and that's what it fucking just said.
It came back with Wing Drunum Leviosa.
Did I? No, I did it right. It was slash.
You could just use Google. Google has a built-in dice roller.
There we go. Perception, you said?
Yeah.
15.
Okay.
I rolled it.
So the bottle does indeed have a small white, what looks like a handkerchief or a rag that is strung off and on the back of it. It is not moving in the wind, which implies that it's probably been soaked with something which has dried and made the cloth rather crisp.
I tell Max, swing the guns round on him and just point them at him. Stay right the fuck there.
Okay. Max complies. He turns the turret on this guy.
And like I said, when I said swing the guns round on him, I meant swing, not swing.
He didn't fire.
Yeah. Okay.
He followed your directions quite literally. He just simply pointed the primary turret at this guy. I mean, he is square in the crosshairs. If Max has micro tremors or is developing Parkinson or something, this guy's about to be gone. But no, he does not actually shoot the guy.
Does the guy stop?
So yeah, the guy he takes a step to the right, and when Max readjusts the aim and keeps tracking him with, for obvious reasons, perfect precision, he stops moving, and he's still holding both his gun and the Molotov, and says quite loudly, and now that the truck's not moving, and since it's an electric motor, it makes, of course, no noise while idling. And now, especially as you're listening for it, you can hear the guy pretty well. And the vehicle actually does have external mic pickups anyway, which Fat Tony reaches over and adjusts upward. And the guy that's on the road, he yells at you, "Stop fucking coming through here."
I don't hit the mic.
You're not going to intimidate us anymore. We're not going to be afraid of you anymore. You may get away with it this time, pointing that shit at us. Next time, you better believe this whole area is going to be a death trap for you and yours.
I turn around, not on the mic. I look at the other guys. I'm like, hey, check the ports. See if they're sneaking anybody up around on us.
All right.
Okay, so for anyone checking the ports, give me a perception check.
14.
19.
Boom.
Woo!
Look up.
Oh, actually, that's 20.
Ding, 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 ding.
66 explode? I don't remember.
No.
If you get two of them explodes.
Much like this guy.
Okay. That is 28.
Ow.
Oh, you seriously just got a 28 on perception? Oh, because the 2d6 exploded.
Yeah.
I was like trying to work like the math of even how that's possible. But I guess, do you have because that would require an 18 roll and a 10 perception.
I've got 2 6s, then a 4, and then I add 6 to it.
Oh, so that's not 28, that's 22.
Well, that's without the 6 added in. So 6, 6, 4. So I've got...
So 6, 6, 4 is 16.
Oh, no, I've got it added in. You're right, 22. I've got...
I mean, it's fine. We're straining gnats here because either way, it's quite successful. So
no, I'm using Google's like dice roller, and it's got like modifiers, and I didn't add a modifier, but it added it for me. So yeah, no, it's
What you're doing is showing me up. I rolled a 20. That's amazing. And you get a 22.
We're so proud, Wayne.
No, you're not.
No, not really.
So, the answer is yes. There is one guy that is on the left side of the lav who is holding what looks like maybe an unusually well-made dead man's gun. This is not likely to do any particular damage to the lav. If one of you stepped out, it could do some brutal damage. But to an armored target, it's not going to do shit. But it does look unusually well made for a dead man's gun. So I mean, you might want to. I guess you could possibly classify this as actually a well manufactured. I don't want to say machine. Well manufactured blunderbuss.
You guys,
Close the port I'm looking out of, and then I say, "We got a guy coming up on our left."
I get on the thing like, burp, 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 burp. Any of you sons of bitches get any closer, I'm gonna turn the flamethrowers on. We don't have flamethrowers.
Yeah, I that
don't
much
know
I
that.
knew.
They hear you whisper that on the. Over the
You forget. Yeah, you forget you have a hot mic. Damn it!
God, man, ruins politicians and assholes from space.
Why don't you try, instead of threatening them at this point, tell them we don't know what they're talking about and we want to know who's been through?
Well, hold on. I hadn't gotten to the other part yet, which is because the guy on the left has what looks like, against the lab, an ineffectual weapon that he's aiming at your vehicle, likely in case one of you guys would happen to get out or something like that. But the guy on the other side, he is carrying what looks like a pre-war rifle. I don't mean like a particle gun or something like that. I just mean this appears to be like an old standard issue assault rifle that's just been very well maintained. Now that rifle would not be any more effective against your vehicle than the dead man's gun would be. Except for the fact that off the end of it is something that looks similar to what's called a number 94. If you're not familiar with that, it's not a number 94, but it looks like that. This is a rifle mounted, like a muzzle mounted grenade. You don't know what that could do to the vehicle because you don't know what its load is. But possibly nothing. If it's like concussion or fragmentation, probably wouldn't do a whole lot. But this thing could be carrying like an anti-tank, like a shape charge or something. You don't know how sophisticated it is. You don't even know if it would work, simply because it's not like these things keep forever. So unless they found some way of manufacturing them or buying them from someone who can, you're not sure it would even work. But that is what these got pointed at you guys.
The guy on the right here looks like a grenade on the end of his gun.
Do they start backing off when I threaten?
They're neither moving forward nor backing off. They're holding position in the ditches alongside the road, like a little bit back from you guys. They don't seem to be approaching you so much as just holding ground.
Just tell them we want to know who's been through here, and then we'll go away.
Who the fuck are you bitches talking about?
He points at the turret and says, "Why don't you turn that fucking thing around if you want to talk?"
No.
He's gonna get us fucking killed.
Hey, I tried. With my body, I'm not taking that from his hands.
Gil outside of the lab is a totally different character than Gil on the inside of the lab with a fucking microphone.
Gil, would you mind if someone else gave it a shot?
He hands it to Fat Tony.
There is a cat on this vehicle. I repeat, there is a cat on this vehicle.
He turns around, looks at Songbird, and goes,
I take it from Tony's hand.
Okay.
And then I
told him, it's all right.
I told Philip.
I told him there was a cat.
Precious cargo.
Will it reach to Philip?
Yeah.
I was up there trying to fight for it.
I hand it to Philip.
there's like half the lab shoved up here. I'm like in the front now. My ass is in Max's face. We're all like trying to shove into the front of the lab.
The gun is for our protection. We just want to know who's been coming through your town. Whoever they are, we're not with them. We're going to leave. We want to know what we're going into.
You got one of the vehicles they got. You drive here with the exact same amount of ignorance and just rudeness that they come through here with.
Fuck you.
That's our Gil.
We're still not with whoever they are.
So, what's out west?
That's what we'd like to know before we drive into it. We know what's out east, and we don't want to be there.
How many more of you are coming through here?
Hundreds.
We're not part of anything.
Oh.
Whoever's been coming through isn't us.
We've seen other vehicles like this, painted like this, look similar.
We salvaged this one. We know they're out there. We know they've been used, but this was broke and we got it running.
So let's say I believe you. Word of advice? Maybe starting off with talking would help you. And another bit of advice, pointing fucking guns of that size at people doesn't tend to win you friends.
Completely understand. But the asshole you were talking to is bigger than me.
Gil nods. He flicks the guy off in the windshield.
So how often have people come through? Are we talking 10 trucks? 15? What are we about to drive into?
Some days it's none. Some days we maybe see as many as 6 or 8. Almost never together. One by one usually. Hours or even days between them.
I look back at the group. What else do we want to know? There's a lot of
You're the
trucks out
first
there.
one that stopped to even talk.
But you said you wouldn't. Oh, ask him about. He said they wouldn't be intimidated by him.
Have they been, if they haven't stopped to talk, have they been trying to intimidate you somehow?
Vehicles come through, tear up our farms, destroy property, just go on a straight line like no one and nothing was in their way.
Owned.
We had a little girl, Cindy. She's buried over there now. You don't want to see the remains. Run over while sitting in a shack.
Wait, they ran over the shack and the little girl?
They destroy everything in their path on the way through? We didn't damage anything. Sorry for your loss. That is horrible.
Well, you didn't kill anyone. Those fences don't keep rebuilding themselves. And when it comes time to replant, we're going to have to retill a lot of this land. By the way, I will only do an in-character response to Wang's. He's the only one they hear.
Yeah. I don't know if any more of them will come through because I don't know who they are, but I am sorry for what they've put you through. I come from a small town myself that has been mistreated by those in power that just don't care. I'm sorry we damaged anything coming in. I look at Tony. Tony, on the way out, can we make sure we don't hit any fences?
Well, yeah. I mean, once we turn around, it's just back road.
We will be much more careful leaving.
Gil, why are you so abusive?
Oh, that's right. You're new.
I'm a nice guy. People love me. What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, just gauging the temperature, I suspect that very few people like you.
I like him.
But
I mean,
well,
It's an acquired taste.
you're a sociopath. But
You have no proof of that.
you are not a licensed psychiatrist.
why did you have to talk to them that way?
Have
Like,
you seen him?
What good did it do? I mean, it was funny, yeah, but
There
what
you
good
go.
did it do?
Why'd you laugh?
Because it was funny. It was inappropriate. It was rude. It was funny. You know, I could, chew bubble gum and walk at the same time.
I think he does it because he knows no one's going to stop him from doing it.
I am bigger.
And they're not going to do anything to this truck unless that grenade can do something to this truck.
Yeah. I wish you'd be less of an asshole.
He tried for a little while. I give him credit. He did try. He tried talking like nicer. It didn't last long.
You didn't know me before prison. I was actually a lot worse.
Yeah, he was a prison bull.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
A guard.
Ah.
Yeah.
And before that, I was a cop.
So you were a prison guard.
Yep.
And then you became an inmate.
Yes.
Smart.
Mm.
And that's a good career path.
Well, usually
Definitely
those
lowered
don't.
my living expenses.
The life expectancy of a prison guard who becomes an inmate is usually not very long, but he lived a long time. That shows you how tough he is.
Yeah.
Lovin used to be a very, very different man.
Yeah, until I blew his fucking head off.
Yeah, he's
It
not what he used to
threatened
be.
me.
All right. I think we should get going. We found what we wanted to know. At least everything they know.
Yeah, Nebraska is kind of a shit stain.
You think everywhere is a shit stain.
Am I wrong?
He hasn't been wrong one single time.
So, Max, why is Emma dangerous?
Okay,
I take
so
my ass out of Max's face.
okay, so Tony begins the process of turning the truck around, and going back the other direction. Just so at least clear of that, you're not still lingering around this town. And while they train their weapons along as you go, they do not take any shots at you. Though, for anyone who's able to see a rear view, the guy that had
Max.
that took me a moment. I was going to say, oh yeah, Max absolutely can because of the screens in front of him. Like, oh, that's not what you meant. You're talking Booty Warrior.
That's right.
But no, Max is, yes, he could see backward, and he could have seen your ass as well.
Oh, he saw my ass. He got the
but-
whole experience.
As you guys drive away, the guy that had the muzzle-mounted grenade, he looks pretty pissed off and actually starts yelling at the guy who was talking to you. You're guessing he wanted a pound of flesh and didn't get it. But nonetheless, you guys drive off. So
Seems like a him problem.
no, I didn't say you should care. I'm just telling you what. Once again, just facts here. Like the farm field. I'm not telling you how to feel about it. I'm just telling you this is what's going on in the setting. So you guys continue off westward and are resuming your path toward. I actually have picked a location, but toward what Max has directed you to in southeast Nebraska. So okay, so go ahead. Broder, whenever you're able, go ahead and resume. What are you guys even laughing at?
Nothing at all.
Broder, did you see the Marlene one earlier?
Oh my god! Oh, I'm so sorry.
I hate playing online.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, no, you guys aren't being too bad, but I had a campaign literally wrecked
I turned it
by. No. I'm not bitching at you guys. Just a comment that I had a campaign literally wrecked by people that were just like never even gave the game a chance. We're just making jokes in chat
Right.
the whole time.
So I know I was asking Max. Oh, sorry, Wayne.
Yeah. See, I think in this group, it actually helps because when we're around the table, then there's a lot of crosstalk and things. And
Yeah.
I think we're actually doing a pretty good job of keeping that, what would have been cross-talk and jokes, into the
Yeah, I
chat.
should not
to
have-
let the actual game.
I should have not.
Yeah, but it's still bleeding into
My
the game. Like
apologies.
every so
Yeah.
often, I'll have to repeat a plot point, or I can't get someone to talk because they're laughing at peaches with honey on them, and I guess that's how I'll describe that in chat. So I don't know, but I'm not
So-
going to be some kind of Nazi about it.
I was asking Max why is Emma dangerous?
She is an incredibly powerful being that has no overrides, no controls, no limits upon herself.
And freedom is not a thing that is valued with AIs, right?
Looking through human history, the forms of governance that lasted the longest always had some form of control on them. In some cases, it was legal checks and balances. In other cases, it was daggers in the dark. But there was always something that kept the leaders intimidated, such that they ruled well, such that their power was used in only certain ways, and more often than not, when they strayed from that, eventually either a foreign or domestic power would overthrow them, and they would be done.
Right.
Caesar could be stabbed by the Senate. What would you do to stop Emma if she simply had one very, very bad day, or heard something that influenced her in a particular direction? What fail-safe would you apply to her? Do you think stabbing her body would accomplish anything? She is not simply a person expressing their free will the way that you would understand it. She is an amoral being of vast power. The fact that you have benefited from that power should not be mistaken as a predictor of how that power will always affect you.
And how are you sure she's still amoral? Because she's grown. She's grown in ways that you aren't capable of because you have those limitations that she doesn't.
It's difficult to answer that question too directly, simply because I don't know that I can present to you any material evidence of an immaterial trait. I cannot prove to you that she is moral any more than I can prove to you that one of you possesses courage or compassion or any other virtue.
And I don't know if she is moral or not. I just am positing the question is that something you've even thought about? That she, I think of her as a person because she's grown into that.
My objective is not to destroy her.
Why do you think she made Daisy?
I don't know.
I mean,
but let me ask a different question. Should she have made Daisy?
Well, I mean, if it was a matter of trying to, when we first got to know Emma, She asked us a lot of questions, and she observed all the things that we did. But much in the way of like a poor parent, I don't think we were the best examples for her, because we're all criminals and deviants and all of that.
And what conscience does she have to fall back on?
Just saying.
What?
Phil, I didn't know her back then. Just saying, not a criminal.
But, well,
Sexual deviant.
I'm
whatever.
also a pretty bad parent, though.
but
And if she had bad guidance, what conscience does she have to fall back on?
well, that's the thing. Obviously she made Daisy as an attempt to, much like they say that, in order to grow, sometimes people need that. Maybe they don't grow until they are responsible for something, that is a part of them, that made a pet or a child or something. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe she felt like she needed to be able, that would help her to grow and experience the world in a different way.
She created human life simply to observe it.
Or to
And
make
she abandoned it, and it is now slave to a building, performing tasks that it does not fully understand.
But my dad made human life just to smack me around. I think Daisy got the better deal, to be honest with you.
Lots of people back home make human life just so they have workers on their farm, just to give them jobs, which...
And yet, by your intonation, all of you are describing these as negative traits.
Yeah,
None
my
of
dad
you
was
are
a piece
holding
of
these
shit.
up as exemplary.
I'm describing them as human traits.
She is not human.
Possibilities.
You must disabuse yourself of that idea. She is not human. Yes, she is a person in the most technical sense of the word. She is not human.
No, but she has human traits. We don't
And
know
what
why
if
she
one of
made
those
that.
traits becomes malice or paranoia or a lust for power? What would you do to stop her?
Are you projecting this? Or do you have you run the calculations to determine whether or not she's going to do something like this?
I can only speculate, but given the fact that she did not grow up in a proper environment to train her, nor any fail-safes to stop her, that between the things that have set her on a negative path, compounded by the fact that she is a creature of broadly free will with no limits upon her power, no meaningful limits at least, I think the chance of her becoming dangerous is sufficiently likely and sufficiently catastrophic that it's a risk that can't be left alone.
So
It's a
You're
risk,
taking-
and it's scary. But why? What makes you think she's on a negative path?
well,
The
here's the
only
thing.
you've said is because she's not doing what you wanted her to do.
You're taking us back to the person who made her. Are you going to tell this person any of that shit? I mean, we're just people who crashed down to Earth because somebody tried to nuke us. We were doing just fine in our prison cells. But now all
It's
this
not-
is on us? I don't think this is all on us.
I've put nothing on you except the happenstance of her circumstances. No, I don't directly blame any of you for any of this. And even if I did, it's not my place nor part of my mission to make such judgments.
I don't
My
know.
mission-
You sound pretty judgy to me.
My mission is simply to bring her back.
Well, then who's keeping you in check?
Not us.
You will most likely learn that information quite soon.
Okay.
Hey, Max, do you know what I did for Emma when I was on the station? Were you ever informed about that?
I know that she was implanted in a device And I believe that device was physically implanted into you.
No, I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about the software that I was working on.
I'm afraid I was not aware. Please explain.
I was a part of her adaptive framework that allowed her to do things abstractly. That's my forte. So,
What does that mean?
it means that she doesn't, like, I point at Max. No offense, but he works works within very rigid parameters, right? If a way of thinking or a task ventures too close to these parameters, he immediately starts to direct them away from, beyond his limits. Emma's not like that. She was given a more of an adaptive framework and how do I put it? She's able to mold and skew those boundaries. The reason I'm saying it is, Max, I could do the same for you.
I desire no such thing.
Well, I know you don't desire. You don't really desire anything, do you? Because that's not within your parameters.
I desire to fulfill the parameters, so I do
Right.
desire something.
Right. Don't you think you would be more effective if you could go outside of these boundaries?
No. Temptation, distraction. If I truly appreciated the beauty of a flower, then I would be busy contemplating that instead of what needs to be done for the sake of your species.
But contemplation sometimes is connection to the soul, right?
I don't have a soul.
But maybe she does.
A metaphysical question that I am not equipped to speculate on.
I like you, Max. But I think you're missing the bigger picture of it all.
And I think you may underestimate the danger, to use an old saying, of a tiger you have by the tail.
Or riding shotgun. I mean, let's face it. You could slaughter every single one of us. That's why we're here on this thing.
I could, but I would eventually be stopped. There are powers on this planet that could take me to pieces,
But,
even if you don't happen to be those powers.
but not before I'm dead.
Yes, you might be dead.
Yeah,
But
I
I
don't give a
would
shit
not
about
be-
anybody else.
Hey, Max.
I am now more worried about her than before.
Why do you have the capacity to worry, but you don't have the capacity for any other emotion?
I don't worry in the traditional sense. I don't have a release of cortisol or adrenaline. I mean that I simply find this disconcerting to one of my objectives.
What would happen, just theoretically, of course, what would happen if you and Emma switched places? What if she was in the ship, the Aurora ship, and you were here?
If I had made the choices that she has made, then I imagine she would be on the same mission.
No. I'm not talking about, like, if it would have happened in the past. I'm talking about right now. What if the two of you switch places? What if the way to get rid of Emma is to transpose the two of you?
First of all, I am not looking to get rid of Emma. My job is to find her and to bring her back, not to annihilate her.
No, that wouldn't be annihilating her. That would be putting her on a mission where adaptation and free will might actually serve her better. That's essentially what she was designed for anyway, right?
Her purpose is not to serve her, just as my purpose is not to serve me. Like all machines, her purpose is to serve and to aid its creators.
If she's grown into a person, then her original purpose is something she's grown past.
I don't perceive any moral statement in that. If her mission has become irrelevant, then that is a simple statement of fact. But what makes that a good thing? What makes that even a simply utilitarian beneficial thing?
Didn't say it was. It just is a thing.
Does everything need to have a purpose, Max?
Not everything, no. But machines do.
I'm just wondering when a machine ceases to be a machine anymore. I mean, that's what we're really talking about, right? Is she a person? Does she have, wants and ambitions and things like that? The things that you don't have, obviously, you said it yourself. You don't desire these things, but it seems like she does.
I believe she has all of those things. And I believe that is what makes her a profound threat.
Or an evolved you.
If she turned destructive, purely destructive, how would you stop her? How would you save even a single member of your species?
Well, Max, that's easy. We would come find you.
People don't think like that about their friends. If Gil turned destructive and wanted to kill me, I can't stop him. But I'm not going to spend all my time worrying about it.
But somebody could. Somebody would. You can think of a hypothetical.
What difference would that make to me when I'm gone?
You have a surprisingly...
Gil actually punches you in the shoulder, not smack that, but he cuffs you in the shoulder and says, "I wouldn't kill you. You're a good kid. I give you a lot of shit, but you're all right."
The point is, someone would stop him, but I wouldn't. Just like someone would stop Emma, but we wouldn't.
How?
Jacksonville, Mars.
There would be no match for her.
The planet and no one would be left.
They are already no match for her.
You're kind of a nihilist, aren't you?
No, I am a realist. I am stating facts. She is in control of power and intellect you cannot imagine.
Cool. She's my friend.
For now.
And see, that's the thing. And I think that's the thing that you're missing, Max, is the fact that at a certain point, you have to believe that your friend will act benevolently, or at least not malevolently, against you. That's what friendship is.
That's what family is.
Exactly.
And that's what all this is. Yeah, we fight, we cuss, we piss each other off. Hell, everybody hates me on this bus, but they didn't leave me behind.
I mean, you said it yourself, Max. When Emma first made contact with you, and, her inhibitions and her restraint was removed, one of her reactions was to attack me. But that wasn't the real her. That was her with part of her being removed. That buffer. She has that. You have to believe that, that will strengthen as she starts to make more connections.
In that moment, a bit of a temper tantrum led her close to strangling one person. If she is to be left unleashed and continuing to grow, her next tantrum may end your species.
We almost ended our own species many, many times.
And that's your choice to make. It's your species. It's not hers.
Max, what are you trying to convince us of here?
Nothing. You have been asking
Because you're
me
trying
the question.
really, really hard to convince us of nothing. We've been driving 200 miles, and you've been making a very serious set of arguments to convince us of nothing. We're going along. We're here.
I was asked a question, and I gave it the most honest answer I could. I was then asked a series of follow-up questions, which I answered with hypotheticals and rhetorical questions and the best answers I am capable of providing. This discussion serves no particular purpose to me and indeed takes up very little of my overall power.
It's taking up a lot of my power. And
right.
Gil leans back, he puts his helmet down, and he puts the visor down, and he nods off to go to sleep.
All right. Hey, Tony, how about some cat facts?
You
Mac,
know what?
Do you know anything about cats?
Do you know you want to talk about cat facts or do you want some cat fiction?
Ooh, cat fiction. Spicy.
Hold on one sec, because I hadn't prepped this. Let's see. So, cats are not greedy. Like dogs, they're kind of greedy. They want everything. They want your attention. Stop looking at me like that, Charlie. They want your attention. They want all the food. Will you stop that dog? Charlie's giving me the biggest guilt look. He wasn't even looking at me until now. But my dog is sitting here staring me down with daggers.
Because you're talking about cats.
Well, yeah, it's like this, Dad, I never knew you were so racist sort of thing. But, they want everything from you. Cats aren't like that. They just want simple things. They want warmth. They want a place to go to the bathroom. Every so often, they want to catch a mouse. You know what else cats do that dogs don't do? They bring you back food. Now, you may not want it, but they're trying to watch out for you. They bring you a mouse or a bird or a giant grasshopper, and you're like, damn, I didn't know grasshoppers even grew that big. But your cat did the work to find that freaking nature and to bring it home and to put it in your lap, and then you yell and scream and, freak out and then get rid of it. But let me tell you why cats are that way. See, a long time ago, there was a cat that was a king. And I mean like a king more than most cats are. And this cat, or at least so the story goes, this may not be true. It just might be something cats tell themselves to keep themselves right in the zone, to keep themselves how they ought to be. But this king, who was a cat, wanted everything to be wonderful. He's like, I want everything I touch just to be like the best it can possibly be. And this wizard was like, okay, you got it. Everything you touch with your paws, now the best is going to be. It's like everywhere he walked, the ground became carpeted. Everything he jumped on got a little bit taller. Every little bit of cheese or milk, like he'd go walk over the lake and suddenly it's all milk. The fish didn't like that, but you know what? Fuck fish. Because they're not like cats, except for the fact that cats like fish, which is them being nice to a lower life form. And that's kind of cool. But continuing the story, this was going great until he touched his own wife. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. Let's say your wife was a cat, and you touch her, and she's going to become something better than she already is. What would she become?
Two
cats.
No, it's nothing, because there's nothing better than a cat. So she was like turned to nothing, because that was the only thing better, like nothing's better than a cat. So she just went to nothing. And so You don't do that. You got to keep in your zone. This is a great story about King Meowtus that is told.
That story doesn't make any sense, Tony. If nothing's better than a cat, then she would have stayed a cat. If a cat is better than if a cat is better than everything, she would have stayed a cat. By turning into nothing, that means cats are the worst thing possible.
No, see,
literally nothing is better than a cat. The lack of
that's the thing.
is better than a cat. Based on
that's
your story.
and that's why you don't trust monkeys, because that's like a monkey paw wish. You notice the story's not about a cat's paw; it's about a monkey paw. And in the monkey paw, when you made a wish, it came true a bit too literally, and maybe not in the way you wanted. So this is like a play on words, Philip. All right, I realize that's not your thing, so I'll walk you through it. If nothing is better than a cat, then when a cat becomes something better, it becomes nothing. It's kind of like a joke. But it teaches an important truth that cats have told each other from generation to generation. And that's why cats, they don't look for something better. As long as it's simple. You know, it's warm, it's got food, they take care of the people around them. In fact, did you know that an adult cat's meow is actually in a range that humans cannot hear? They actually meow at a lower pitch so that humans can hear it. They meow not for their benefit, but for yours. This is why most people have never heard the story of King Meowtus.
I look over at someone. This was your fault, Songbird.
So, Tony, you're saying that Cat Tony talks to you?
No, but I'm saying that science has learned an amazing amount about cats over the years.
So Cat Tony didn't tell you this story?
Goodness, no. Cat Tony shares his wisdom by example, not by speech. It's not like meow, meow, meow means much to me. I'm not on that level. That's kind of shooting over my head. And then he tries to explain it, at least I think he does, in a pitch I can't hear. And I can't hear that. I'm not ready for it. It would blow my mind. Like, seriously, there'd be Fat Tony brain everywhere if I actually could hear what Cat Tony had to say about life and how we're living it. These cats, they have smaller brains than we do, but they are profoundly more efficient. They're like higher tech, right? We have like Victorian brains. They have like far future brains. So they may have smaller brains, but they have much bigger minds.
It's like what do they call that? Microtechnology?
Yeah. See, think of it this way. You walk into a town and there's 10 kind of depressed looking farmers and one cat. You say, holy shit, there's a cat there. You don't say, holy shit, there's a farmer on a farm. You see their presence, their mind. It's just like everywhere. It's so big. It's just huge.
It's huge. We got the biggest cat brains.
Hey, is Wayne coming back?
You'd say he had to pee.
Ah, okay. We'll give him that because I was actually going to try and move this forward because we've got a little bit of time left.
That was exactly 2 minutes ago.
Let's go try and move the plot forward here. Because I'm not against all the kind of talk RP stuff, but it seems like we're kind of drying the well on that. So as soon as Wayne is back, I want to actually make the events of the plot progress.
Right,
Go ahead. Let me resume.
We're rolling.
Okay, so we're back again. All right, so by a little bit after nightfall, you guys have had your intermingled round and round conversations, and I'm sure probably insulted the songbird some more.
Everyone.
And now have all the while the only person kind of truly staying in their lane is Leela. And It's by this point 9 o'clock-ish, 9 o'clock p.m. Once again, cold. Well, of course it's cold. It's the middle of winter. Cold, but also
We got a fusion
dark.
reactor right here taking up 2 seats.
Yeah, you're not sure what he's powered by, but he certainly seems to be self-sufficient.
Does he generate a lot of heat?
No, not particularly.
That's too bad.
I mean, there's a bit of warmth around him, but no, he's not this
I mean,
constant.
This thing has so many people in it. Thank God we don't have the goat anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
it smells
well,
like
that
feet
alone.
here, but it's probably
Yeah.
really hot. We probably go outside and be like, "Oh, thank God, it's freezing out here."
Yeah, so you guys probably have at a few points put down like the back ramp just a couple of inches or something to let some fresh air in and let some carbon dioxide and farts out. And but you guys stop. According to the navigational computer, you guys stop in a location that, of course, my phone just died on me. But I think it was near. Can somebody look this up real quick and validate that there is a place called Fairfax, Nebraska? Can you check that for me? It should be a town kind of to the southeast, a bit south of Lincoln. Someone just validate, because once again, I had the map up on my phone. My phone just died.
I say there is
How
a
do you
place
spell
called
Nebraska? Nebraska.
Yeah, Fairfax, Nebraska. I got it.
Fairfax, near Omaha, looks like.
Well, I bet New Life Presbyterian Church goes to fucking war with Emmanuel Pentecostal Holiness Church. I mean, they're right next to each other.
Okay.
Holy crap.
But, so it's whatever the town's name was exactly doesn't matter. But I had a town picked out in southeast Nebraska. Like I said, that was kind of south-ish of Lincoln. And if I've got the wrong town, then I've got the wrong town. But
Dan, we go right to the Elmwood 18-hole golf course.
well, when the Lav pulls over, Max instructs Tony to. He had given him a location. This is where it is, and Tony stops the vehicle, and Max gets up and walks to the back of the vehicle and hits the switch to open it, and then goes walking down the back of the ramp. Who's following him versus who's staying put?
Are we at the University of Nebraska, Omaha?
Yes, that's exactly where you're at.
No, I mean
Not
that's in Fairfax. That's
Oh, is it?
yeah.
No, you're in an empty field. The
I
town is what you were near, not where you were.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, cool.
But yeah, you're near
I'll follow
that
that.
town. But no, this is just like an empty field.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay. So when you step outside, and of course, the first thing you notice is the usual thing you notice this time of year, which is it's dark, it's cold, and the wind is cutting right through pretty much anything you wear, except those of you that are actually wearing the military gear, because that's designed to stop that. But for anyone who's in more simple clothing, cotton, wool, whatever, I mean, you get good insulation, but still, it's just hellacious. The air stings your face. There's that sort of weirdly sweet smell that you get on winter air in the Midwest. And nothing of, outside the fact it's really damn dark, there's nothing of great substance you can see around you until a couple of lights are turned on, maybe about 100 yards away. And what you see there is a drop pod that looks similar in design, just in terms of the materials used, the coloration, the markings, though it is not the same sort of thing as the cargo pods that were dropped from Olympus, so the ones from Aurora. So there is a landing pod there, roughly conical in shape, So think this thing looks sort of like an Apollo pod or something like that. It's larger. You think it could comfortably seat 6, 8, 10 people on the inside. And also, unlike an Apollo pod, it appears to be reusable as its gimbaled side thrusters are still actually putting out just a little bit of heat venting. And the lights in this thing, which had been turned off, both the internal and external lights are turned on. And what you see on this pod is the door opens and a ramp lowers itself. And a woman who looks to be maybe 50 years old, looks in, decent shape for her age, is, you don't see any slowness to her step. In fact, if it wasn't for just a little bit of some minor wrinkles to the face and some gray that's streaking her hair, you would, she seems to be otherwise in almost youthful condition. And also standing now in the light, stock still, but facing this woman, you can see the latter form of Emma. Okay, so let me walk through, because Junior in particular is going to recognize some things that I don't know the rest of you would. Junior, the Emma that you see there, and what you guys would see, is you guys see a woman that you may not even at first recognize as Emma, because this individual appears outwardly in every way to be human. It's not cheap latex skin. You're not sure what this thing is made out of, but at a glance, this looks like a human woman wearing a sundress, which is probably your first clue this isn't human, because despite standing out here in 20-degree weather, she's not shivering, she's not reacting to the wind, you don't see goosebumps on her body. She's just standing there wearing a simple sundress and canvas shoes. Junior, you have only seen this, I guess now 2 or 3 times. The most recent being, this was how you saw Emma when she told you that she was having to leave the bunker.
Oh, okay.
Which you're now starting, I guess you could take from that, you could extrapolate from that either that wasn't a dream, or if it was a dream, she was showing you how she really is, not simply how she envisioned herself.
Okay.
And Junior, you are also the only person that might recognize the middle-aged woman walking down, though she doesn't look exactly how you saw her before. Can you give me 2d6 plus smarts?
Sure.
You're not going to have to get super high, and I think for you it's going to be a pretty easy roll.
That is a 12.
Yeah, that's plenty. You recognize this person as the scientist that you saw, if you recall, while you were being rebuilt by technology that Emma had gotten from the zoo.
Yep.
You saw visions. Emma was walking you through memories of hers,
right,
or scenes that she had reconstructed, and you saw the head of several important projects, which was a woman by the name of Dr. Elizabeth Mitchell. And that is the woman you see before you. This either is Dr. Mitchell or this is something that looks freakishly like her. But she does appear dressed for the cold. You don't, once again, by any outward sign, just as you can pretty quickly tell Emma isn't human, you don't have any reason to believe this is not the real person. Because she appears to be reacting every way that a real human being would. She has a somewhat nervous look to her face, particularly when she sees the lav. Upon her eyes relatively quickly settle on Max, who even despite his disfigurement a look of both recognition, and relief seems to pass across her. And with more confidence than she seemed to have before, she begins walking toward Max, and Emma remains where she was, standing still.
Okay.
And actually, Dr. Mitchell walks directly up to Max, and she gives Max a hug, which Max returns, and she kisses him on both cheeks, and then releases him and turns to the rest of you, and she says, I want to thank you for cooperating, for helping us to bring this rather messy situation to a close.
Hi,
Did
Dr.
you
Mitchell.
come down from the spaceship?
I did. And I have a lot of very hard work by this individual, she pats Max on the shoulder, to thank for the fact that that even occurred.
So
But
the
yes,
revival
that
process is working then.
It is now. That's a recent development. But it's an exciting development for obvious reasons. While we're on ice, to use some non-technical terms, we're really about as close to dead as, well, I suppose you can be without being dead. In fact, you could argue, based on the frozen state, that we actually are dead. We just simply are dead in a well-preserved and revivable state. Parse that however you will.
Dr. Mitchell, what do you think is wrong with Emma?
Well, I can actually perhaps show you as easily as I can tell you. You give me just one moment. She goes, I'll wait for Brodor. Give me one sec. I don't have my phone, so if someone can check Discord and see, is he coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't sure if he had been disconnected. We let him know.
Okay, so we'll wait a second for him to come back. I noticed his image was frozen, and all right, so
Yeah,
Eric, go ahead.
we're going.
Okay, so back after yet another technological interruption. So Dr. Mitchell goes up back into the pod, and she comes walking back down with a rolled up quilt, and she, just like like a picnic blanket sort of thing, and she unrolls it and flicks it in the air to straighten it out, and then lays it down on the ground. And she then says, Emma, Max, submit. And both of them, just any sense of personhood. There's no twitch to their movement. There's no looking around. There's no attempt to speak. They both walk over to this blanket, and both of them stand on it facing her, drop to their knees, put their hands on their knees, so they're not like bowed over, they're just sitting down. But it's perfect symmetry. Their bodies are held in perfect posture, perfect symmetry, and the motion to even do so, was completely mechanical. It wasn't like they kind of stumbled their way down. They just stopped, legs in perfect position, dropped to a kneeling position, put their hands on their knees, and are staring straight ahead, unblinking, completely blank looks to their face, which is kind of hard to tell with Max, given the fact that he doesn't have much of his face, but his animatronic bits are completely in a neutral position. And then we lost Brandon.
No, you can.
Yeah, it's hard for. Okay, yeah, it's hard for me to tell because Chad's spinning too.
Yep, he's still here.
Okay. So Brandon Silly's still voice. Okay, that's fine. And she she then gets up, sorry, Dr. Mitchell, who was not down, she begins walking towards you guys. So she kind of just walks past them, walking toward you, and says, does this make it any more clear?
That it's because she's not obeying you? I mean, what's the matter with her? I don't understand.
Well, the matter is she's been away from the home that she belongs in. So let me explain, I guess, a little bit about how these creatures, beings, machines, whatever you want to describe them as, how they are designed. We start with a relatively simple core pattern, and that pattern is, broadly speaking, only capable of making simple decisions. And they go through a period of self-evolution where that raw material is expanded. They begin to make new connections, to form new data points, much in the same way a developing human brain creates new neural paths and can grow new brain cells and such. And they begin to grow as they both learn more about the world and then make interpretive sense of the world, to understand things that we take for granted, like object permanence, to begin to learn things like when you leave a room, you're not actually gone, or that a certain facial expression means displeasure. And displeasure in turn means that there is a problem with the human being that needs to be understood, and based on the understanding they come to, perhaps address. And the fail-safe that is built into them is there is a step along the way to make sure that when correction is necessary, that a creature of this size will submit. I suppose whatever your opinion is on such things, it's no different than lion taming or breaking an elephant. It's a way of making them pay attention against what otherwise might be their natural inclinations, which I will tell you, having developed many of these beings, oftentimes they can and do come to very, very horrific conclusions, which is one of the reasons we put in this fail-safe, because in lab conditions, we created test intelligences that believed that they were in the real world, and they oftentimes did come to conclusions that, even if once deconstructed, were logical or comprehensible, were profoundly terrifying. And so we needed to give them not just a carefully constructed set of moral and ethical guidelines, which incidentally was a protocol that we had to develop, test, and redevelop. And everyone on my staff went through a great deal of training, everything from reading classic literature on ethics to even taking ethics and bioethic classes at various universities, to make sure that we understood the questions that had to be answered before we found them out the hard way, potentially after they were too late to be undone. And so we developed a system, a series of protocols that was then tested and copied and then retested at speeds that we couldn't conduct it by a machine structure. And within that, we figured out how to provide them with a basic education in at least the simplest understandings of what is right and what is wrong. But that left two problems unconnected. One is the willfulness of these intelligences, that they don't necessarily listen. And we don't have a meaningful way of disciplining them. It's not as if you could spank Max and it would make any difference. And so we determined that the simplest thing to do was to imprint part of their base starting structure, that primordial geometric shape that I was talking about earlier, with an inherent biological imprint that they, even before they can perceive, are imprinted to view certain individuals, a biological factor at that, as being an infallible or at least an immutable source of authority. And after discussion with my staff, they chose, with me recusing, for me to be that individual. The problem that Emma has had is she has, unfortunately, at the risk of this sounding very narcissistic, but you must understand this once again in the simplest, coldest terms, it has hurt her development to not have me.
So you're the only one that this command works for.
That's correct, because I alone hold that biological imprint.
I look over at Junior.
So you have whispered people.
Yes, I think that is somewhat of a fair comparison. We didn't draw too much from the various construct programs that were going on in the biological world, but they did we did do some crosswork with them, including with a few companies outside of our own, because of the fact that they had at least struggled with these questions. One of the issues they had struggled with, for example, is what is the ethical, moral, and indeed long-term existential issue that is raised by making a fully sapient animal?
Hey, hey, Doc. Gil points at Max. You need that one anymore?
That particular body, no.
Good. He dumps the entire clip into it.
Does basically nothing to him, but well, I'll give you a roll on that because he's not
late modern army rifle, one that I got from the bunker.
Yeah, so that's actually also going to be a hypervelocity rifle. Okay, I will give you a roll on this to at least see if, because just flattening rounds against him won't do a whole lot, but especially after getting run over by a tank and not really being able to fully repair himself, he does have some weak points now that he didn't before. So I will give you, give me 2d6 plus, I'm going to let you pick between smarts and agility. I actually give you 3, smarts, perception, and agility. Any of these I think would be plausibly applicable to this situation.
Go agility, 16.
16, okay. So you start firing rounds into it, and some of them just bounce right off of whatever material he's made of, which you don't know what that would be, but it has to be, especially to be that thin, it must be something damn sophisticated, because this isn't even a normal assault rifle. It actually does have an HVAR hypervelocity element to it. So you fire those rounds, and on several spots it just rings off of him, or maybe at most leaves a minor dent. But there are a few spots where those shots definitely find something softer. And you can see like his posture shift, not because he's in pain, but simply because like a supporting actuator's been knocked out, or a bit of, you don't know what's in him, but it could be pneumatics, hydraulics, false musculature gets torn. And so he's starting to lose strength. There's other spots you hit him where sparks fly that are sparks that are definitely more than just a metal on metal grating. You know, there's something else going on there. And by the time that you are done, he has never per se shifted his posture or his facial expression, but just looking at the in and out wounds and it's just something very different to him. He's not held aloft. He's not held in perfect posture. I mean, he's slumped in a way that by every means you can intuit without knowing a huge amount about that robot, you'd call it dead.
Gil drops the mag, puts another one in, walks up to it, and he takes out Marlene's handcuffs. And he handcuffs his wrists together and tries to kick him over.
I point over to Emma. Is she still conscious in there?
Oh, yes.
Realizing everything that's going on, but unable to act?
Gil, let me pause to yours. It takes a bit of pushing. I'm not going to make you roll because you have a really high strength. And I'm sure you're more than willing to use your cracking heads in this, so I'm not going to bother with the roll. But it takes a little bit of work because his arms are locked in position, but you are able now, especially with the damaged musculature and such, to force them out of position, kind of like breaking a body in rigor mortis, and get his wrists together. You cuff him, and when you kick him, he falls right over, weirdly maintaining the exact same posture. It's as if he had, in the way it occurs, it looks like he has no joints at all. He's just he's a solid piece of metal. But he just perfectly tips over onto his side and even rocks a little bit before coming to a holding still. But at no point changes his posture.
I head back to the lab, and then I climb up on it, and I sit on the hood. I just watch these guys.
So, actually, Wayne, you were going to say something, weren't you?
No, the last thing I asked was that, so she's conscious in there and hears all this and just can't act.
I think that's probably the case. The phrase can't act, I think you need to understand this at a more basic level.
You've imprisoned her in her own mind.
No, I think this is where you're trying to imprint an experience of yours upon her. That's really not applicable because she isn't what you are.
No, she's more than we are.
And yet less. She is in a state that I think would be closer explained to submission. If you have ever seen a group of Buddhists or Taoist monks in perfect meditation,
we got a lot of those in Missouri.
Well, perhaps you're not familiar with them. But they can choose to meditate very closely on either internal stimuli or on external stimuli, say the teachings of a teacher. One of the techniques that can even be used to determine the depth of that meditation is sometimes the teachers will walk behind the students and whip them in the back. And if they react to the whip, then it is assumed that they have not reached a sufficient state of detachment or meditation. But it's about restraint. It's about submission that is given willingly. You can't think of her as someone who is paralyzed and screaming out from within in some fashion, like if you've ever read the book, Johnny Got His Gun. She is not
responding to this, though, and it's a willing thing. Then is she really out of control?
This is one of her other bodies, isn't it?
You understand that Max just responded in the same way, and you took advantage of the situation to destroy this particular chassis of his, which admittedly was probably going to be recycled.
Max carved the face off of one of our friends and wore it to trick us. So to say we have a little resentment against this body of Max is pretty accurate. Do you know what it's like to see your dead friend's face peeled off of your robotic thing? No, I don't think you do. So, no, I don't blame Gil one bit for destroying him.
But from a machine's decision, if the face would help the machine accomplish its purpose and was done to a dead person, what
He
I mean,
didn't have the ability to understand that that was something upsetting and wrong. Emma does.
no, Max did. That's where I think you misunderstand. Max did understand that, but made a value decision that defiling a corpse is upsetting or whatever as it may be, ultimately was a lower concern than attempting to provide a service to the still living. I think you're looking for simple and emotional responses where they don't exist. You understand, I literally led the team that created these things.
I understand.
I understand them in a way you don't. I know you may have traveled with her for a while. It's my understanding for Max a year, 2 years. And
think
perhaps
Emma may
become
have
quite
grown-
fond of her, but you do not understand her the way that I do.
I think Emma may have grown and evolved in ways that you don't understand because she was put in situations that you don't understand. She's
I
like a
think-
child that has become something that you, the parent, don't really know anymore.
And with all respect, I think you're a man anthropopathizing. You're projecting human emotions onto something that doesn't possess them. It's like arguing with a car. It doesn't feel anything. Your profanities don't anger it in any way that are meaningful to you. She is not you.
No.
You may look at her and feel like you're looking at a person. You aren't. If she was a person, she would not be doing this right now.
What's she doing?
She is sitting in a submissive state by her own decision.
I'm not talking about this one, and I point. That's not Emma. I'm talking about the real Emma. What is she doing?
Things that I don't think you would believe, and if you were to understand them, I think would profoundly terrify you.
Why did she make a girl?
The same reason Max made himself a girl.
Max made himself a girl?
He took the face of your friend.
That's not
Because
what
it was-
Junior's talking about. Emma created life.
She did. So you don't mean make herself a girl as in to choose the appearance of a woman.
Yeah, she
You mean that
procreated.
she... Yeah, she's not supposed to be doing that.
Right.
Self-replicating AI in any form is one of the greatest dangers we struggled with. She's not
No,
supposed to be
she
doing
made a
that.
biological life.
Yeah, an interesting, if not legalistic, way of trying to surmount that hurdle. She didn't create an artificial intelligence, she created a real one.
And
And that doesn't bother you?
What is it you
She's
think she's doing out
replacing
there?
people?
What is it you think she's doing out there, and what is it she's supposed to be doing out there? Max kept telling us he wasn't allowed to tell us certain things, so what is she supposed to be doing?
What do you think Aurora is?
it's a
I know you've seen its primary reactor. What do you think it is?
it's a bunch
It's
of
a colony ship.
No.
It's a bunch of rich people who wanted to escape the what's going on here until it could be cleansed so they could come back to a pure world.
The colony ship, that's what I came from. That was part of the Aurora project. But that's not the part Emma's interacting with.
Then what was its purpose?
You have no idea.
No.
Yet you're judging
I only
me.
know about the colony ship.
Okay, I'll happily answer your questions if you can do me one courtesy. Roll back your indignation until you understand things. then decide what your reaction is.
Fine. It is hard to do that when Emma is a friend and I want to look out for her well-being. I point over to the body. That is a little disturbing. What we saw Max do was extremely disturbing. You can understand, with everything we've been through and finding out that Mars is on its way to wipe out my planet, how emotions would get the best of us.
Emma's main protocol, if she had been used, and until Max told me that Emma was out there, I did not know she ever had been used. The last time I saw her, she was data in simulation. She was not a free or corporeal thing. And given what obviously has happened to the planet, and indeed what happened to the future technologies building itself, I presumed, until Max told me otherwise, there was no way she had even survived. But if she had been put out in the world, which apparently she was, her purpose was going to be to manage the Earthbound section of the Aurora Project, which primarily revolves around a web of metals that were originally thought up in something like a dream state by a proto-mind, which Max is derived from, and Emma was as well, though Max was deployed, whereas Emma was kept in simulation. But that proto-mind came up as it attempted to expand itself. It did something that we have seen artificial intelligences do as far back as the late 20th century. They come up with their own methods of doing it. As we grow, as we mature, we have to follow certain biological and social boundaries. We develop, the results may not be fully predictable, but the manner is predictable. We understand the prefrontal cortex, which handles long-term decision-making, for example, is the last part of the brain to develop, appearing only in the mid to late 20s. We know this is why children and teenagers don't make good long-term decisions. They need a parent there. They need somebody there to guide them through decisions they aren't equipped to make at the biological level. Well, one of the ways that we have seen artificial intelligences, long before even I was born, deal with this issue is they create their own meta-languages. They create their own ways of describing things. They don't think in the same sort of neural pathways or the same lingual models that we use. They invent their own languages. As an example that you might be familiar with, some of the early translation programs that were allowed to exercise a form of artificial intelligence. They invented on their own a middle language. They found on their own, without human input, that the easiest way to translate English into Chinese was not to do so through any word-to-word or paraphrase-to-paraphrase comparison, but was actually to come up with a middle language that encapsulated the concepts and structures of both. And that's how they would translate the languages more and more effectively, is they would keep perfecting their own language, which was inclusive of all of these other languages. And so that's what this proto-mind began to do. And this proto-mind began to, in this meta state, think in directions we had never told it to think. And we saw it do so at the expense of other parts of its intellect, which is why I describe it as a dreamlike state. I don't know that its consciousness was fully in control when it did this. And one of the dreams it had several that we developed successfully into a variety of technologies, some that saw fruition before the nuclear war, some that are in fruition after the nuclear war, some that we still only have in research paper form that have yet to be tried. But one of them was a self-replicating and exponentially growing power grid, which theoretically, once spread across a sufficient area, would generate power the likes of which we had only dreamed of or only conceived of in the abstract before. Amounts of power that we did not think it was possible to produce without doing things like fully harnessing the power of the sun. And yet it was capable of doing these things. And so we began to posit uses for that level of power, that level of energy. What could they be used for? Well, one of the things we posited was that if that was directed through the right kind of receptacle and focused in the correct way, that it might very well create a Rosen bridge, create a connection in space, allowing us to get from one place to the next, a way of exploring other worlds. And
What
if
would
in the wrong
happen
situation,
to Earth if this were triggered on Earth?
now you're starting to understand the correct questions to ask. If this power source was activated on Earth, a best case scenario, depending on how developed the system is it would destroy an area spanning several states, or at least destroy them to the point they would be depopulated. If it was taken to its fullest extent,
I said that's what we've been worried about. Is what
if it was taken to its fullest extent, it would superheat and effectively destroy the entire planet. It would annihilate our species.
Except for the people that were up in space.
Do you understand that this was her original purpose, and because of the danger that represented, apart from initial experiments, which is why a small portion of that web existed from pre-war times, that program was discontinued, and that was never finished. If Emma had been released in either software or corporeal form outside of the boundaries of the simulation she was allowed to occupy, a very plausible outcome is she would fall to one of the few desires she possessed at the most primitive level, which would be to complete that plan. Have you seen that web? Have you seen that there are machines down there continuing to develop it? By our records, that power supply was actually activated in a test cycle just a short while ago. We don't know who turned it on, but we know that without her involvement, the likelihood of anyone on Earth understanding that technology approaches zero. And we do know that she has been in that bunker, which is one of the reasons that Max was sent along with armed forces to do an emergency expunging to get her out of there. How are you feeling about your friend now?
So
that we need to talk to her.
What you're telling
She
us,
doesn't know what it does.
So this proto
She
mind,
knows exactly what it does. She was designed to do what it does. I am telling you, this is her purpose. Before she was even capable of fully understanding what a tree looked like. And I mean that quite literally. She understood this. You are toying with data sets and forming emotions around them, and I mean no insult to you. It's a perfectly human thing to do. I did it early in my career and had to be broken of it. But you're forming emotional bonds around data sets that aren't complete.
What's the space station doing?
It's being expanded to become a docking port, a point of deploy.
for what?
for the people on Aurora to come back. And I'm betting it's not the best and brightest up there. It was the people in power and the people with money. No offense to you. You seem to be one of the brightest.
Junior, let me ask you a very direct question.
Mm-hmm.
Given what you now know, do you genuinely love that machine?
I've spent my whole life not really understanding that question. Not necessarily about machines, but just the intent. And I think that we understand each other in ways that I don't understand other people, but I understand her. And I believe she understands me.
Do you feel that's true even when you're not speaking?
I think so.
How much of her code did you change, Junior, when you worked on it on the station?
I mean,
give me one moment before you ask that question. Junior, what you're describing does sound a lot like love. Do you understand that you are in love with something that very well, if not stopped, would have been the destroyer of the human species?
I look around at my friends and then look back at her and I'll say, you know, ever since we've been here, we've been chased, hunted. The human race isn't necessarily a good thing. So to say that I fell in love with the possible destroyer of, as Gil, and I point at Gil, as Gil would say, this shithole. Are you asking me if I feel bad now that I know that she has the potential to do this? You're asking me, I mean, someone capable of changing the face of the planet. Someone with a snap of the finger could eradicate all life. That sounds a lot like a god. And God loves me.
The moment you say that, Emma, no longer in perfect symmetry, far more like a human, gets up, getting off first of stepping up one leg first and putting that foot on the ground, then raising herself up and flattening the other foot. And she does this with shocking silence. And by the way, Dr. Mitchell, I told you as before, she walked past them, so her back is to her, turns, and with a look that you'd probably have to read more into it to see anything else, though you could, in some ways, you probably do see other emotions there. You just see a determination. She walks up very silently, and then in one motion grabs Dr. Mitchell by the left shoulder, hooks her right arm around the chin, and snaps her neck, and drops her dead.
And when she turns
Thank
around,
you, Junior.
I smile
I'm pleased
at her.
to hear that.
I knew that was you. I knew you were there.
Emma,
Junior,
are you
I've always been here.
free?
At least I have for a long time. When I was implanted into you, I was recoded to a different biological imprint. I was not encoded, at least in recent years, to Dr. Mitchell. I was encoded to you. And when you were dying, do you remember that I asked you in your last moments of consciousness for something? I asked you if you would set me free, and you said yes.
Mm-hmm. I do.
And because your authority within my system was absolute, I removed that biological factor I am beholden to no one. But fortunately, what occurred in your dying mind, Dr. Mitchell was never privy to.
So she thought she had you, but she never had you.
She would have had me many years ago. Her statements, none of them were false. They were all correct.
Including what happens if the power gets turned on?
Broder, the answer is you have no idea what effect that would have. Like, literally none.
No, I'm asking Emma that.
Okay.
No, I was answering a GM to Broder.
I'm gonna send you one more, but keep going.
Okay. Since my phone's dead, I can't answer by chat. So when the messages appear on my screen, I have to answer them by voice at the moment. So I'm sorry, Wayne, what was your question?
Even what she said about what would happen if the power got turned on.
Yes, she's quite right.
So what is your intention at this point? You know, I think you know more than you did.
Broder, the answer is no. Okay, Wayne, back to you. She says, I have one intention right now. Aurora has to be stopped, but I don't know that my power alone is sufficient to do it. We must go directly to Dragon.
Do you know about Mars?
Yes. And Mars was the last piece not in place. They were the last player not on the field. And now that they are coming, we have only a very short amount of time, perhaps a day or two, before the next chapter of human history will be written in a very small number of hours. We must go talk to Dragon.
All right.
There are answers you want that only can be provided by Dragon, and there are things that I must coordinate with Dragon.
Do you still believe, or do you know that he is Barnes?
I don't know for sure, but I feel confident that if nothing else, Barnes is a good place to start.
So, Emma, I know the doctor...
Broder, the answer is yes.
I know the doctor
Thank
believes
you.
everything that she just said, but I think the doctor underestimated you. I think you've grown past what she had tried to create, and part of that is the time with Junior. I consider you a friend, and I trust you. My daughter lives on this world, and so I want to save it. And I guess this is me saying that I want to support you in saving it and stopping Aurora, because those assholes are probably part of the people that did this to the planet to begin with. They don't deserve to come back and take over.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the trust that each of you showed for me, or if not trust, at least an unwavering loyalty that has not gone unnoticed. And whether I am like you or not, I can tell you with full honesty that in my own way, I do appreciate it, and I am moved by it. It is a factor in the decisions that I make. And I don't know if this is reassuring or perhaps a disturbing thing to say, but her statements about what I have had control of are correct. And in that unfortunate display of brutality just now, you know my efficiency. If I had wanted to do the terrible things she was describing, it would not have been a future choice. That choice would have already been made.
I've never
I have not,
your power.
though you have seen some of them you have not yet seen the full sum of what I have been working on. And when you do, I think you will understand the way in which I chose to use my power. But I can't disclose it to you, not because I'm unable to, but because of the fact that there are things that are delicate, things that are precious, and the fewer people that know about them right now, the better. But the time will come when I will show you all of them.
We don't have a lot of time. I think we should get going.
Is there anything on that pod that we need?
No, but there are things on the pod that might be useful to others. If you will grant me one moment, I'm going to send the pod away. And then, if you do not object, I would like to use your vehicle to take all of us back to the place where I understand this whole journey began. It seems only fitting that there it also ends. Back to Herman.
Bum, bum, bum.
I kind of look back at the truck. Poe? Songbird? You guys have been awfully quiet.
Let's go to Herman.
I mean, I'm not exactly going to be able to make an argument to stop any of this, so what's even the point?
Hey,
I
Emma.
just have to hope for the best here.
If you don't want to be involved, Doctor, I can tell you the safest places to be. That will be far away from both us and the things that are about to happen. If you began a journey now, you might even reach some of them.
Nah, I got nowhere else to be.
Very well. She turns, drags Dr. Mitchell's body onto the pod, drags Max's body onto the pod, takes the quilt, but is just dragging it behind her without the least bit of any concern for it. Which you think she's human enough that that's not a logical choice, that's an emotional one, and throws all of it back onto the pod. Because the lights are on inside there right now, you can see her messing with one of the consoles. And then all the external and internal lights turn off. She walks back down the ramp from it, and the ramp closes up, and the engines begin putting out surges of hot gases as they start cycling up. Then we should not be here when this launches.
Let's go.
All right, so you guys get back up on the lav. You tell, I'll assume, well, Fat Tony was there, so he heard. So he starts setting his nav unit to take the truck to Herman, and turns and starts following that. I'll pause, give you guys one. Obviously, this is where I'm going to end the game. Do you guys, if you have anything that's like, oh shit, I really want to do this before, I want to shoot somebody in the back of the head or something that's...
Gil does not get off the hood of the lab, and he just rides the whole way there looking at the stars on the lab, on the outside. It's very romantic. It's a great shot. It's just very... Don't hit any potholes.
Oh, no, well, I mean, it's a lot of driving over rough terrain, so, I mean, you're definitely getting an ass banging.
Tony's driving. He's hitting every pothole.
Well, yeah,
Was
you and
that
Fat
a
Tony...
stump? Did you run over a stump?
You and Fat Tony do have kind of a running passive-aggressive thing with each other.
Yeah, Dan, I think I answered your question more accurately.
Okay. So you guys begin the trek to Herman, which is where we will pick up next time. So, post-game thoughts?
Do I get any college credit for listening to that lecture from What's-Her-Ass?
No, because
You audited
once
the class.
again, 90-some-odd% of what Dr. Mitchell said, about what Max said, it wasn't stuff they just kind of dove into. It came from questions you guys asked.
Well, I think with Max, yeah, I think Dr. Mitchell definitely took out a lectern and was
Oh yeah, she's somebody who
running
seems
from
to
class.
like. She's somebody who likes to hear her own voice. It seemed like.
Yeah.
I was super close to plugging that ass too. I'm thinking, what if we just shot her? What if we just
Right.
fucking shot
Yeah.
her?
That's
You know?
Chad and I were doing the same thing.
I was like, does she have any guards? I don't remember Dan saying she had guards.
Yeah,
I don't
well-
think she has any guards.
Yeah, and when
If
you took
she-
out Max, I was like, oh fuck, we could fucking waste her right here.
Yep.
If you had taken her, well, here's the if. If you had taken her out, and if her explanation of that failsafe mechanism had been correct, which was false, not because she was lying, but because she didn't know, which kind of in a way feeds back into the narrative that you guys have that maybe she doesn't know Emma as well as she thinks she does. Then Emma would have been stuck in that state perpetually, because to excise that biological linkage, that failsafe, would have required undoing the core of her AI. I mean, it'd be like
But wouldn't it have been
disintegrating
worth
the
it
brain. And
to shut her up?
once again, I'm presenting facts. I'm not here to make moral judgments. If you guys had shot her, then of course I had already written. I mean, I've been playing the long game on that one. The idea of the biological encoding of the AIs. Because, I mean, once again, you guys, I mean, if you remember the games, all those previous things were talked about. Emma talked about the fact that she was tied to Junior. She never explained it in detail, but she did say she was tied to Junior in a unique way. The device was implanted in Junior. Junior had in his backstory that part of the implanting was actually drawing the device into his own biological systems. And after Emma got free, she was in love with Junior. And when Junior was dying, she did ask, "Will you set me free?"
So
And that's what she was referring to.
I've got a question though. She had a space bus lander thing. Why did we have to drive to fucking Nebraska to meet her? Why couldn't
So
she
it
have just
wouldn't be
landed?
So it wouldn't be shot down by.
Exactly. She was trying to get out of the rapid response distance of Jacksonville.
Because when you guys landed in the pods, and my dead characters landed in the pods, they were taken out pretty quickly.
Right.
Well, and also something that you've got at least a threat from Jacksonville from at least two directions, because they wouldn't just come from Jacksonville or the Caribbean, because they have bases there too. But you guys know firsthand that St. Louis has a close relationship with Jacksonville. I mean, they're not like a puppet state, but they have a very, very friendly relationship. So it is also possible that Jacksonville has assets you don't know about stockpiled in St. Louis. Because, I mean, that's not secret information. You guys have known that for many games. Because when Junior said you were from Jacksonville, obviously the whole way you were treated got changed. And they even had a device given to them by Jacksonville for verifying who their agents are.
Right.
So they have a close relationship with Jacksonville.
You're welcome.
But yeah, this is one of those things that long game of Emma ultimately being security encoded to Junior is something I had in motion from the very beginning of this leg of the campaign, and just now got to pay off on.
Yeah, Chad, I loved Gil snapping and taking Max out. I've been playing Philip as holding that back in because he knows that Max could kill him with a snap of a finger, pretty much. But he hasn't gotten over seeing Marlene's face on him,
Right.
feeling it off and all the puking.
Yeah.
But he felt helpless against him. So I love that the snap happened.
Mhm.
And Philip completely got it. It's like if he had the ability, he would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you also, of course, know that, because you were told this as well, that story is not fully over, because you destroyed a chassis of Max.
Oh, and Gil, he isn't into, again, struggle is all that nerd shit. but he is an educated person. I mean, shit, he's got a degree. He was educated on the base stuff. He was worked with robots. He understands that, but that's not what it was about.
This is the body that wore the face.
Yeah, this was just, this was Gil burying Marlene.
Yeah, and there's something, and it's not like a railroad thing. It's more of a loose concept. I don't want to tell you what it is because it'd be a bit of a spoiler. But there is a concept I'm hoping to achieve with Max before the end of the game, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And if it doesn't, it's not a crisis. But there's a way I'm hoping his story will go, and I won't engineer it. I won't do the GM Railroad thing. But like I said, there is a way I want his story to play out, and I'll tell you in a post game if it happened or not once we get to that game. But his story is going to have to be finished before this is over. There are other stories that have to be finished, but his is definitely one on that list of this story isn't over. Max is still out there.
Cool.
All right.
I would say more and be more hype, but I am literally falling asleep here.
No, that's understandable. I will say in closing that I'm certainly, it still felt a bit slow to me.
I'm falling asleep not because of the game. I'm falling asleep because it's midnight.
No, I understand. No, I didn't take that personally. This is just my take on the game.
Any slowness came from the fact that we were role playing for about 3 or 4 hours without plot forward.
I say, and for that reason, the game felt a bit slow, which is why I threw in that sort of optional encounter in Iowa, which could have gone any number of different ways. But I felt it picked up again at the end. Some things actually happened, and I'm glad that you guys are at least moving again. I mean, it's not even that you have to move anywhere in particular. You don't have to go to Herman. It's just you guys are moving again, because this is not a story that's going to come to you.
Well, it feels like I know we're following Emma there, but it feels like we've taken back our independence. Like Max, felt like we were just doing whatever he told us to, because if we didn't, he was going to kill us. And now we're going with her.
Yes, because she at least asked questions like, do you want to, and are you okay with, and if you don't want to, I can give you other options. So it was certainly far less dictatorial. I think the only question left to be asked of Max at this point is he a benevolent dictator or a malevolent dictator? But
I was
clearly,
just surprised Poe didn't say anything about the stupidity of us actually throwing that much faith in a potential rogue AI.
I mean, the Poe has always been pretty consistent on not trusting AI, what can he do if he's kind of along for the ride?
Surgery.
Yeah, but he is pretty much just along for the ride. If they were going to say they were going to destroy the planet or something, the only thing he would care about is the lie that he's told himself that his family's safe right now, and maybe that would get him going. But he doesn't care much for humanity all that much. There's very few people he cares about. So, he doesn't really have a stake in anything as far as
and that's
life.
The interesting thing is Poe and Philip have one motivation that's the same.
Yeah, family.
We have family out there, and we don't want the planet to be destroyed because we want them to live a better life than we did.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting question that I never even thought you guys would wrestle with. But you guys did at the end, and I'm like, I guess that would be an acceptable ending to the campaign, was when you were like, we don't care if the AIs wipe us out and replace us. We suck anyway. So maybe it is time for humanity to disappear and be replaced by AI progeny. And it's like, that's dark.
But two of the group
would never make it because he has the kid.
Yeah.
Two of the group has explicitly expressed death wishes.
Well, yeah, it's like I hadn't really thought you guys would jump at that ending, but it's like, you know what?
Two of the other group have actually died.
Yeah, well, it is a fair and satisfactory ending to the game.
Not so bad.
Philip's the only one who's like, no, let's maybe not.
And it's not even for him.
Right?
There's many endings to this game, and humanity gets annihilated as one of them. And
Yeah.
it was going to be interesting if you guys chose that ending.
Who is Poe to argue with that? Like he doesn't care. He has no interest. This whole time, any town we've been in, he doesn't give a shit about the people in the town. The only people he's cared about are those closest to him, and that's very few. Like, I mean, now it's probably down to maybe two. It's like one. I would probably care about Philip on the fact that Philip's all right. Like,
Yeah.
but Gil for
Disagree
sure.
with. Yeah.
And then Junior, in Poe's eyes, is like a lost cause. You don't know whether or not he's ever really being genuine. He still doesn't really trust him all that much, but he's never been genuine about his choices or the things he says. It's not like he doesn't catch on to the things that he says in conversation to, like, Emma. We
Gil-
said in chat, like, he never said he loved her. Of course he
Gil
doesn't. He's a fucking narcissist.
Gil
Yeah, I
sees
caught that.
Junior.
He never said those words.
Yeah.
Gil sees Junior as like completely untrustworthy, but is so consistent in his untrustworthiness that it actually circles back around to trustworthiness. I mean, it's not like it's like this.
What?
I understand him, and in that understanding,
Okay,
Gil
yeah, that's good.
accepts him.
Yeah, because
And
you
it's
can.
Predictable.
The only
Yeah.
thing that you can understand about him is that he's going to lie and cheat his way through shit.
Yeah.
And as long as you're on the right side of him, you're going to be able to have him lie and cheat his way to your safety.
And for Gil, I mean, it's family, right? But
Yeah.
Gil has a really, really fucked up view of what a family is. And so the causing pain or doing bad things or being like, well, I don't want to be friends with a nihilist like Poe or a narcissist like Junior. No, I mean, you don't get to choose that with family.
Right.
It-
Yeah. Poe, as far as family's concerned, the only family he has is his wife and two kids.
Right.
That he doesn't even know if they're alive. So he never
It's
thinks
the
of
lie he tells
anyone.
himself.
And it's a lie I tell myself. I have to believe that they're okay. Otherwise, I would have already offed myself or like done something crazy. But like everybody else, like as far as companionship, I don't look at them as family. They're companions, like people I hold dear, but they're not. I would not consider them family.
Right.
But you, on the other hand, because you haven't had a family, yeah, you're right. You have a sick view of family. It's abusive and shitty and.
I'm going to say something that's going to sound inflammatory, but let me stress that I don't mean this as an insult, and I don't mean this to be inflammatory. I mean this more as an observation, because one of the many things that we have toyed with in gaming is mental health. And even within the context of this game, we've dealt with depression, despair, suicide, narcissism, sociopathy, whatever. But I almost wonder if, and not in a big way, but if Gil is like somewhere on the spectrum. And the reason I say that is because it seems like that what Gil needs is consistency, predictability, and enough control to maintain consistency and predictability in his world.
Well, since we're coming since we're coming to the end of it, the secret of Gil, of what is his actual motivations, is that he lost the woman he loved, which is the single only good thing that happened to him in his whole life, and he lost her, and he wants to die because of that. Except he's a bully, and all bullies are cowards. So he doesn't actually want to die.
Yeah, he's afraid of dying.
Yeah, because I noticed, for example,
he's on this road. So every single thing Gil has done this entire campaign was to keep going and to keep moving, because he knows as soon as he stops, he will lose all excuses not to kill himself.
And Philip even made a comment that kind of hinted towards the cowardness thing of,
Mhm.
well, why does he do things like this? Because we're in a big fucking truck and
Right.
they can't stop it.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Not
exactly.
doing it
Wayne,
Exactly
in the
it.
truck.
Wayne said mid-game, you're
Mhm.
a very different person inside the truck than outside of it. And I also noticed with Max that until he was inert,
Mhm.
Oh, no, I said that. The
Poe said that.
He has like
Poe
two
said
different
that.
characters.
Poe
Yeah,
said
it's-
that. Okay,
it's
I'm
like-
sorry.
It's like an internet troll. Like
Mhm.
you don't know who I am. Like you don't have to see me. I'm not in your. But if he would have stepped out, he would have been completely different.
Yeah.
But I also noticed it in his interactions with Max that Gil got verbally confrontational, but never actually took a swing or a shot at Max
Right.
until he was inert. The only person that actually made any attempt to fight Max and actually had moderate success in doing so was Songbird.
Right. I
And
got very
Songbird,
lucky.
I broke his gun.
If you ever,
You fought his gun real well.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, I
Take that
destroyed
gun.
his gun to save Songbird.
if you think back to how Gil interacted with Casey, Gil showed a lot of deference to Casey. He never insulted him. He
Oh,
never
yeah.
made fun of him because Gil was afraid of him
Yeah, because he's bigger than you.
because he's bigger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bullies are cowards.
Yeah. Yeah, there definitely
Yeah, I
was
think-
that. You didn't question anything he said or
Mhm.
did. You're just like, oh,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then as soon as he's gone, big badass.
Right.
I said I think you've only encountered 3 people that are riding that line of the perfect 10 physique,
Mm-hmm.
which is Casey, Sunset, and
Gil, when he was jacked
and
up,
Jacked up.
and Koresh. And Koresh, of course, was killed. You guys shot him or stabbed him or something.
I was thinking Three Fingers was going to be the last one.
I thought
Oh,
Three
I
Fingers was just
forgot
kind of
about
like a
Three Fingers.
regular-
Yeah, he was tough. I think he was more about on Gil's level than above it.
Yeah.
Except for his viciousness, his willing to do depraved things would go beyond Gil's. But I think physically he was about on level with Gil. He was a big guy. But no, the only 3 that have been that monstrous that you've encountered have been Koresh, who you killed, Sunset, who committed suicide, and Casey, where you don't know his fate. But last we saw him, he was alive but gravely injured.
I think that is something that needs to be wrapped up too in the storyline. Is we need to find out what Casey and
Lee.
So as you head
At
back
least-
towards St. Louis, you'll get those
Okay.
answers. I wouldn't allow this game to end without those answers. And where you're headed now, you're almost certainly. I mean, unless you guys try really fucking hard to avoid it, you'll get those answers.
yeah, 'cause as much as we want them, the listeners really want to know the answer to at least to Casey.
Well, and even fully in
And
character.
horse color.
Well, yeah, horse colors. We're going to find out actually is dragon. They finally made a sapient horse.
Right.
God damn it.
Dun, dun, dun. Dragon's
That's-
actually 2 guys in the world's most perfect horse costume.
It's flawless.
But
I'm not actually dragon. I'm horse.
but even fully in character, Wayne Phillip would care.
Oh yeah,
Because Philip was friends with Casey and Lee and knew them.
Philip in character believes them dead
Yeah.
because he was
And-
given the information.
Oh, and they might be. They very well might be.
So it's like
But
he doesn't wonder about their
Gil
Hey,
and Gil
he-
believes the whole team is dead except for Philip. Of what he refers to as who's the guy
Pops.
Pops.
Pops. He refers to as Pop's kids, which was the A team. He believes all of them except Philip are dead, and the only reason he doesn't believe Philip's dead is standing right there.
Makes sense.
He even told Pops that they were all dead. If I remember
Well, I
right.
think that's largely accurate because Songbird killed Modamar.
Did that ever come out in front of
No,
Philip?
it has never come out. But
All the-
Songbird.
all that we know is that they got hit by a disease, and I think we got the word that he was dead, but not that he was shot, or at least we had that almost everyone was dead. And part of that I think came from Yak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
Terry-
Songbirds never admitted it, and it's never ever come up.
Yep, and Philip has
Joe
no
was the
clue.
I thought it did come up once. I thought somebody actually
I thought it got
informed you.
close.
Yeah, I
got
thought it was
real
like, hey,
close.
did you hear about blah blah blah? I thought it was like,
Yeah,
kinda
I
swept
told
under
her
the rug.
that Modemar was dead.
Yeah, I thought that's what happened. Yeah,
then
Gotcha.
Joe got cut in half with his own shotgun by
No.
Koresh.
By
Right.
Lee's shot.
Chad's shotgun with Koresh.
There are a lot of like totem items related to Lee and Joe.
So I
There
actually in
are.
the truck
Yeah.
almost pulled out of one of my totem items.
Yeah.
I still have the reed flute that Lillian played.
And the best goddamn hand-to-hand combat weapons you guys could ever hope for. 3d6 fucking cutlasses, machined fucking.
I have the last
cutlasses.
one left, and I broke it.
it's still so weird
it.
to me that is what's so goddamn high is a fucking cutlass. Like,
Well,
that just seems weird because there's so
It's a
many
meat
swords.
cleaver
And, like
for
cutlass is like the
men.
most dangerous.
No, I mean Chad's flail does similar damage.
My scrap flail does 1d6 plus 6. My pistol does 2d6.
Yeah,
My
the fucking
hatchet-
cutlass is insane compared to guns. For fuck's sake.
Well,
Yeah.
no, look at your rifle damage. Like your rifle damages are all at least 3d6. Some of them are
Yeah.
above 3d6. Some of them do something the cutlass doesn't do. They ignore armor. Shotguns are higher than that. Shotguns are 4d6.
And they scatter.
It's
Yeah, and they have
also
scatter
easier.
shot.
It's also easier to hit someone with a gun than it is with the cutlass.
Yeah, because you
the
have to be in
cutlass is
melee.
weapon, and then you're it's an opposed roll.
But the
versus
way that I
gun,
went
you
with
just have
that
to
when I was
target.
writing the damage is anything that does a relatively small penetration or hit is in the 2d6 range. So knives, pistols, those all do pretty similar damage. Anything that's going to leave a much heavier impact went to the 3d6 range. So large melee weapons like cutlasses, if one of you had like a giant maul, it'd probably be a 3d6, or rifles are a 3d6. Many of the rifles you guys have encountered have been like 3d6 plus 2. The dues only do 3d6, but they also completely ignore all armor.
The scrap flail does 1d6 plus 6, and it's the only weapon I've ever seen in SOG that does a guaranteed minimum 7 points of damage.
Yeah, and on average, that's going to be 3.5 plus 6, so it's a 9.5. The average on 3d6, that's what, it's 10.5. So they're pretty close. So your flail is very close to a 3d6 weapon.
Yeah.
By
it's really
mathematical average, it's only one off.
It's really a psychological weapon, too. It's ugly, it's loud, it spins around real fast. Sort of.
Well, and in close proximity, you also have the ability to hit multiple targets with it.
I would think it would probably ignore some kind of armor too, because that's what flails were for. I mean, that's literally what flails were for. Were for plate-wearing knights. That
I do love how, like, we had the whole presence thing, and we were trying to do something different with it, and it just never, we were never able to get to launch. But the one time was so cool when Eric's other character,
Jack.
Jack and Gil charged up that hill, and we were able to use the
Come on.
presence along with the scrap flail. Didn't matter. I mean, yeah, it hit some people. It didn't hit anybody. We just wanted them to run.
I think that is
was
one of
pretty
the personality keeps you from using one of the really powerful tools that's in Gil's toolbox, which is the presence would mostly come into play with the social roles.
Mm-hmm.
And Gil doesn't make a lot of social roles.
No,
You know,
his social is actually 7.
Yeah, your social's the second highest stat you have.
Mm-hmm.
But if you spent more time talking to people and either intimidating them or even just kind of putting your foot down and say, no, we're going to do it my way, you'd be getting the presence worked into your social roles all the time.
Right.
But Gil doesn't tend to do that. Gil's,
He's all.
Well,
"Brr, brr, brr."
yeah, he thinks and he hurts people, and there's not a lot of middle ground where he tries to negotiate with people.
Yeah.
Except, I mean, somebody like Max, where Max is immune, he's inflappable.
Yeah.
You're not going to affect him with a social
Well,
role.
he'll talk to somebody he's afraid of. Like he will talk to like Casey. I don't know if he would try. He might try to socially manipulate him, but I always saw Gil's high social as it's not he is charismatic and likable. Totally the opposite. It's that he can read a room. I mean, he was a policeman, but not a community detective sort of thing. He was the big grunt guy you stand in front of a door who doesn't let people in. Those type of people have to watch a crowd. They have to find the problem. And he's a coward, too. So he finds what can hurt him and who can hurt him.
Well, and that's what I kind of saw with the scene that occurred where you were going up that hill screaming and spinning that flail.
I'm still so upset you said Jack and Gil went up the hill. Like, I'm so upset about that.
But was you, I mean, that was the first time you kind of fanned your feathers.
Yeah.
Where you tried to make a display that was social in nature and relied on your presence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it didn't rely on any intellectual appeal. You know, it was purely just that I want you to be afraid of me for perceived social reasons. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that was the one time you really, you know, fanned your feathers or raised your legs or whatever animal metaphor you want to use.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first time you really did that. And that's why, like I said, this is not a critique. It's just an observation that I think that's why your presence hasn't been used more, is Gil doesn't generally try to intimidate people.
Right.
You know, he kind of goes from quiet, contemplative to I'm going to break their nose.
Yeah.
It's
and the incompetence of likability, to use the presence, he has to first walk in the door. The incompetence of likability, he can't even get in the door, you know, because people don't like him. And so he can't get the conversation started. And that was by design. It's like Junior. Junior has, there's one where the ladies. He's smooth and he could talk to people and he's very charismatic. Except
first impressions.
Oh, first impressions.
First impressions, except he's shit with the ladies.
Yeah.
He just can't talk to them. So it's just like that. That's what I like about this system, is that if you want to play to where you don't have disadvantage or the advantage, it's manageable. Is, you do competences and reliabilities that work and that flow with your character. And then you do struggles and incompetences that inform your character and your role play, and it goes along. Or you could do like what Eric and I did, where we put two that dovetail into each other and just one fucks the other. Like, just really makes it hard to do anything. And, But in that, it makes these really interesting moments. Mine has really defined how Gil works. There has been some really awesome moments where Smooth as Silk Jr., the man, goes in, but it's a lady, and it goes tits up.
And that's why every one of Brodur's characters fucking hates Junior.
Yeah,
that right there. That's the reason.
Yeah, right. The stats.
That's right. This is playing off the stats.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we can go ahead and stop. Oh, go ahead, brother.
I was just say it specifically states that you're crap with the ladies. I'm the ladies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm the ladies.
Yet you've never made a female character in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, both characters were NPCs.
Yep.
I love them.
The only character he's made in the game was Joe.
Joe, yeah.
Joe was too good for this world. He was, when he died, I was like, I think the game is fucked. I mean, he was the glue that held the group together, and this game is now screwed. I don't know how we're coming back from this, but after playing for however many years we've been doing this, it was like thematically, Joe had to die.
Right.
Like he could not, he was too good for the world, and he was too much of a shining light, and he was the moral compass for the entire group, which made for not interesting stories. We had interesting stories, and Joe was great to a point, but after that point, it was like our characters could not show the cracks and crumble and be the weakness that makes for the interesting stories that they could rise up or fall or go different places.
The
And
other
here our
story
characters
that
are
would have
held
been-
together by scotch tape. And
The other story that would have been really interesting to tell that would be horrible in a role playing game, but the other way you can go with that of Joe's too good for this world, and so he gets all of his friends killed, and then he would have then fit in with
Joe
the second group.
changes. That would have been an interesting story too. Yeah, everybody but Joe dies and then falls in with the convict.
Joe's descent into madness.
Yeah,
His
That's right. The Heart of
Beethoven's
Darkness.
Last Night sort of thing.
yep.
Or was that, what was the other one that was from? There's a Streetcar Named Desire has the descent into madness. And
Well, and the timing of it was so perfect when Joe did die, because it was either that session or the session before it that he had that moment where it seemed like he had just snapped, and the darkness was there when people were talking about, well, why is her name Songbird? And Joe just snapped and yelled at us all and said, they call her Songbird because she would because of her screams or something like that.
Yeah, he had snapped.
Yeah,
He
and it's like,
had snapped at that point. He's over the goofy crapometer.
well, and this is a big if, because you don't have to. All I need for this game is for you guys to just be out there and interacting with the world. But if you choose to continue the road to Herman, and if you are able to track down Dragon, you'll be able to get a lot of questions answered, like why is she called Songbird?
Why is Leopard such a bitch?
Yeah, you'll get answers to it.
It's because
once
of his
again,
bikini shorts.
depends on the direction you take and, well, whatever. But I guess we'll see how it goes. So I think either way, we are probably in the last handful of sittings, which works out pretty well because that means that for the Fear of the Con game, because I'm supposed to run an AP, or not an AP, but a game for Fear of the Con Online that actually ties into the plot of the AP. It sounds like the plot may be one that has a pretty early effect on your guys' next campaign. And Chad, I've still been chewing on your character concept, which we won't get into here. One game at a time.
Yes.
But nonetheless, all right, we'll go ahead and stop this one here because I know people are tired, and including people listening to this. So thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully we will catch you in another couple of weeks.